been a while. It's been a little while, folks. Thank you for joining me. So today we have something a little different. This is a choose your own adventure game. Please forgive the layout. It's a work in progress as well. This is called Choice of the Pirate, and I'm going to be doing some voices for it, just to make it a little more interesting. I thought this game may at least have some music, but apparently it doesn't. So perhaps if there's interest in this, and I do any more, if I even enjoy the game, that is, then I may do some background music. Or maybe not. Maybe it'll suck terribly. So let me know what you think. But anyway, let's get started. So this is... I'm going to be doing, by the way, I'm going to be doing a variety, or attempt to do a variety of voices for different characters. I don't know what to expect. I've never played one of these things before. But I'm also going to do a narrator voice because my normal voice is kind of shit. Damn, I swore. And that's going to get me demonetized immediately. Oh well. So, narrator voice is going to be a little interesting, so bear with me. So, Choice of the Pirate by Alana Jolie Abbott. Chapter 1, Scurvy Knaves. A cannonball hits the water astern of your ship's hull. The resulting splash soaks your clothing. You drag your sleeve across your forehead, succeeding only in spreading the water around. Could be worse. I don't know why I chose that for the protagonist. Is that you? Are you? Oh no, it's a different person. Okay, never mind. Okay, let's. Okay, could be worse, says the unflappable Caesar Lord, your closest friend, a huge dark-skinned pirate who towers over you and the rest of the crew. They could have better aim. Your ship's last loaded cannon fires, drowning him for the moment, fouling the air with smoke and brimstone. Luckily, the cannon didn't explode. Unfortunately, your cannonball also missed, and now you're out of gunpowder. You call that a hit, you landlubbers? Screams your captain, the notorious cruel Captain Blackguard. It's unfounded criticism. Even he must know that the way the ships are closing in on each other, there's no clear shot for a broadside, and for that you should be grateful. Prepare to board, you scurvy knaves, and make your peace with Davy Jones. Oh wait, is that's the wrong guy? Okay. Prepare to board, you scurvy knaves, and make your peace with Davy Jones, or you'll either send our enemies to see him for yourself. The flag on the ship trading fire with you bears a skull and crossbones with a rose clutched in its grinning teeth. It's the flag of Captain Adelaide Briar, but why do you recognize it? Why do I recognize it? What do we think, chat? I tried to sign her onto the crew. The crown despises her, and so do I. Captain Blackguard told us we're after her ransom. Sure, let's go with why not? Captain Blackguard told us we're after the ransom. And really, what the captain says is guiding force in your life at this point. Like it or not, the Crown, in its ongoing efforts to rid the Lucayan Sea of pirates, has put bounties on pirate ships, setting pirates against each other in hopes of making legitimate money or earning their pardons and letters of marque. Blackguard and Captain Adelaide Briar have long history. The stories told in parts of San Alfonso, the pirate haven, a few miles south, say they were once lovers until Blackguard's obsession with finding the treasure of Ishmael, the lost, came between them. Briar mutinied against the Blackguard, stole his ship and crew, and marooned him. Other stories put Blackguard as less of a victim, claiming that he went mad with rage when he found out Briar had hidden a map from him that would have led him to the treasure, nearly killing her and half his crew before coming to his senses. When he's out of hearing, other pirates call him Blackguard the Bloody. Blackguard is nearly as obsessed with destroying Briar as he is with finding Ishmael's legendary treasure. She was an obvious choice for his first bounty target. Wind round north to east. Or wind round? Wind round north to east, Blackguard shouts. You and your crew tax as the ship's cambiante? I don't know what that means. What's the cambiante? Ship's cambiante? Your weather mage. Calls a gust of wind, bringing the ships nearly side by side. No mercy! Blackguard screams. Is that too loud? I hope not. The ships groan in protest as their hulls collide. Caesar, who despite ship's tradition has long insisted you call him by his first name, claps you on the back. See you on the other side, he says, and it's both a promise and a command. Wouldn't miss it. Is that me? Wouldn't miss it, you say loudly. Caesar grins as he takes a leap across onto the enemy ship, not bothering with the grappling hooks your mates are using to draw the ships together. Pirates of Briar's crew swing over from the rigging, and it wouldn't be long before both ships have erupted into combat. And there you are, standing on the rail. How did you get into this mess? Mess? This is what I live for. Piracy, a life of freedom and plunder. Or I took a job with Blackguard to avoid being arrested by the Crown. I hired on with the Blackguard to avoid being conscripted into the Navy. I was captured by pirates as a youth and haven't found my way to free myself. Blackguard gave me the option to sign on with his crew or walk the plank. Let's go with the most adventurous one. Look, I live for the piracy. It's a pirate's life for you. The thrill of battle, the excitement of the chase, the grog, the romance, everything about the sea life. Out from under the tyranny of the Crown's strict rule appeals to you. Everything, that is, except for Captain Blackguard. This is why I'm not making a very good career as a voice actor, because I can't read straight without making lots of mistakes. Anyway, as tyrants go, he's not much better than the Crown. Jeez. If you had enough gold to buy your own ship and get out of your contract with the Blackguard, it's a person, not the Blackguard. You know you'd be a much better captain than he is, and really, gold and freedom are all it takes to be a pirate captain, which is why there's such a low bar for entry. What is it you despise most about Blackguard? His cruelty to my shipmates, his stingy sharing of plunder. He's not a very skilled pirate. Cruelty to the shipmates. Yeah, that sounds cool, right? That sounds like the cooler one. The violence Blackguard doles out so casually onto his own crew is hard to accept. He flogs sailors for the slightest offence, or for no offence at all other than being in the captain's path when he's in a rage. You've been on the wrong end of his beatings only a few times. While Caesar has taken more than his share, you've tried to convince your friend that it's not his duty to protect the other sailors, and he always assures you that this time will be the last time he stands between the captain and his sailors. Until, of course, the next time, and you end up dressing his wounds after the fact. You two have long agreed that something should be done about your cruel master, but you've both fallen short of suggesting a mutiny. It might be easier to stomach Blackguard's violent excesses if you weren't a good captain, or if you could get rich serving him, but he's not an inspiring leader, nor a competent sailor. Which of his traits frustrates you most? Is he a bully that lacks finesse? Nah, his combat lacks finesse. He's as sneaky as a cannonball. He wouldn't know diplomacy if it bit him. He's frankly an awful sailor. Doesn't seem to understand what our cambiant, our weather mage, does. I think diplomacy. Since I've given him a horribly gruff Scottish voice already, that's what Scottish people are like, to be quite frank. They're the Klingons of Earth. In the romances, a pirate captain has a certain amount of charm, charisma. Courtiers swoon and merchants quiver with fear when the captain speaks. When Blackguard jokes, people cringe. When he talks to other captains, he belches. Oh, sorry, that's really... It's really, really loud, actually. Will I turn my mic down? Turn it down just a little bit, because I'm talking quite loudly. When he talks to other captains, he belches his responses. He's as slick as a wire brush, and sharp as a caulking mallet. Which is to say he's neither. In fact, another captain hasn't gone after a bounty on Blackguard for his sheer obnoxiousness is astounding. Maybe today will be the day that Blackguard meets his fate. But in the meantime, you've got to be sure you don't head off early hours into yours. What? Okay. But in the meantime, you've got to be sure you don't head off early hours into yours. Two of Blackbriar's pirates swing onto deck next to you. You've no time to clear the rail onto Briar's ship next to Caesar. You're in the middle of battle. What do you do? Magic to fight unconventionally, Elsewhere in combat, especially cheating. Ooh, I like that one. Using knowledge of ship to my advantage. Yeah, cheating. Let's go with that. That sounds fun. Fight fair? Who does that? As Briar's pirates swing over, you kick one of them, swinging him right back onto his own ship. He crashes into a pair of duelists and tangles everyone in line. You point over your other foe's shoulder and shout, "This one's yours, Caesar!" The pirate whirls around as you anticipated he would, and you stab him in the back with your dagger. Though your battle only took seconds, the scene around you has changed in the meantime, and the air is full of gunpowder. One of the cambiantes, if that's how you pronounce it, either Briar's or your own, you're not sure, shifts the wind. Both ships tack with the sailors being ready for it. You and everyone else stagger to keep your balance. You see Blackguard engaged in a duel with one of Briar's pirates, a tall woman who is Briar's first mate. You guess near the steering wheel not far from you. Blackguard is hard pressed. Maybe he's really met his match this time. Unfortunately, if he dies, Briar might turn the crew in the crown. Briar might turn the crew into the crown for Blackguard's bounty. If Blackguard and Myth both die, that's two problems solved. I don't care what happens to the crew as long as Blackguard. Defend my captain? Sure. Because I think he's quite interesting for this story, to be honest. You are a loyal member of his crew, and even if Blackguard's a disgrace to pirates everywhere, he's your captain. Also, you don't want to die, and there are always ways that saving your captain's life could turn to your advantage. The question comes, just how will you intervene to save his life? With a sword, use magic to rot the deck beneath the mate's foot. Sneak up on Briar's mate and club her in the head. Stamp on one end of the loose plank to trip up the captain's fall. All I need is a moment's distraction. Hurl insults. Oh, I don't know what to do with my sword. Magic to rot the deck. I might want that deck. Let's sneak up. Through the haze of gunpowder and the chaos of combat, Briar's first mate doesn't even notice you stepping into place behind her. She does, however, notice the way the butt of your pistol cracks into her spine. She stumbles forward, straight into Captain Blackguard's sword. Briar's first mate falls, and Blackguard yanks his sword out of the corpse with a sucking sound that's reminiscent of scraping barnacles off a hull. Nice. Blackguard takes a moment to assess the rest of the battle before approaching you. "Good work, sailor," he says. You can tell that despite his good cheer, he doesn't recall your name, and though the grime and salt caked on your tunic, and through the grime and salt caked on your tunic, he's not entirely sure of your gender either. Oh! Well, it's a good thing he didn't assume. He's just kind of, Okay, I don't see myself as either a man or a woman. People used to see me as well. But okay, well, I'll just go with I'm a man. What's your given name? Gaibana, Inigo, Bartolome, Jack, or I don't like any of these names. Well, I don't like any of these names. Oh, cool, I can put my own name in there. Well, I just put in... Will I... What's a funny name? There's no such funny name. Let's just put in Spencer. What's your family name? Okay, let's... I like the D's there. I was about to write beard, but I ended up bard. De Bedlam bard. There we go. Spencer de Bedlam bard. There we go. One day, with enough fame or infamy, you will earn a moniker. But for now, you're only Spencer de Bedlam bard. Nice. I quite like that, actually. A lowly sailor your captain couldn't be bothered to remember. But the way he's looking at you now, you can tell he'll remember what you've just done. You hear the familiar sound. You know, it's pretty cool. I don't know if you can hear the seagulls outside. That's quite good for immersion. You hear a familiar sound of incantations in the old island language, Maipur. Maipur? As both your Cambiante and Cambiante on Briar's ship chant to try to control the water and sky around you. Dueling winds never bode well for sailors between, and this is no different. For either of you or Captain Blackguard can leap back into the fray, a terrible scream of grinding hulls cuts across the deck as the winds push the ships into each other. A breath later, and air explodes around you, flattening everyone onto the quivering deck. The winds do not stop. The ships push into each other, and the air tears at their hulls until it's clear that both ships are going to shake themselves to pieces. Abandoning ship is the only thing to do, but rather than ordering the crew to flee, Blackguard is swearing up a storm. Cursing at his now unconscious Cambiante to fix things, the air holding you to the deck releases. You have time to move, but where will you go? Below deck to make sure everyone gets out. Treasure the dinghy, get me out of here. Let's be good and make sure everyone gets out, right? Most of the crew are on deck for the battle, but it's possible someone's still on the berth deck, or worse, hiding in the hold. You can't in good conscience abandon the ship while there might still be people on her. The deck trembles beneath your feet as you stumble down the ladder to get below decks. The berth deck isn't faring much better. You can see the leaks already springing through the hull, and the groan of the wood beneath you makes it clear she's not going to last much longer. You list through the galley like seasick landlubber and spot the ship's cook cowering among his pots and pans. There isn't anyone else on the after end of the berth deck, unless they're hiding in the captain's cabin behind the locked door. Get on deck! You yell at the cook, but he doesn't seem to hear you. So do I yell at him to get on deck? Force him above? Force him. Don't have time. We don't have time to comfort. If he can't save his own neck, you'll pull him out yourself. He's a portly old sailor and he's too heavy to carry, but you yank him forward. As soon as you've put him in motion, he cooperates, following along blindly until you're both above. You think you have time to go back down one more time, but it might be hairy. Where do you look for others? Cargo hold? 4 crew berths? Yeah, that sounds like a reasonable place to look. You stumble to the crew berths at the head of the ship. There's not much to them, and in a few moments there will be much less. Thankfully, that means it's easy to see no one's there. Where do you look for others? Should I keep going? Or abandon ship? Surely there's no need to look in the captain's cabin, right? Because who would be there but the captain? I don't know. Cargo hold? Do you think the cargo hold? Feel free to give me options in chat what you'd like to do, by the way. I'm going to go with cargo hold. I can expect some people would hide in there. The cargo hold has taken the brunt of the damage from the duel of the Cambiantes, and the small space is difficult to navigate even at the best of times. Is anyone down here? You shout. And you're surprised to hear a shout from the aft. Help! It's hard to see the darkness, but you think it's the cabin boy, a lad named Jim. Well, I'm glad I gave him a silly voice then. I'm coming. No, that wasn't quite read quite well enough. I'm coming! You call. And you press onward, despite the way the cargo has tumbled out of its bindings. When you reach him, your stomach tightens. He's wedged beneath a barrel of fresh water, and although it looks like he's trying to squeeze his way out, he's stuck fast. The ship's shuddering is coming faster now, and there's not much time to get back above. Have to leave him. Use my magic to shift the water barrel. Ooh, like a wave. Push it off. Or break open the barrel. Let's use magic. I haven't used magic yet. You can't focus on the incantation, and the ship is falling to pieces around you. The hull bursts and water hits you like a club, throwing you off your feet. No. I was just checking at the bottom of the page very quickly there to see if I'd actually died already. As the water floods into the hold, throwing you away from the cabin boy, you crack your shoulder against another barrel. You just make it out the hole in the hull, and you realize your only chance is to survive swimming through it. You hope that Jim will make it despite the odds, but you can't save him. You'll be lucky if you can save yourself. You dive into the oncoming stream and pull yourself around on the outer hull, scraping your hands against the barnacles. Then you stroke upward, toward where you can see the sun reflecting on the surface. For a moment you think it's too far, that despite everything you're going to sink to your death. Then a huge black hand plunges into the water and drags you up. You gasp for air, and Lord Caesar grins. "I wonder where you'd have gone, Spencer," he says. His relief is almost palpable, despite the lightness of his expression. "Permission to come aboard?" you ask wearily, and Caesar hauls you without further fuss into the dinghy he and several of your crewmates are rowing. The wrecks of the two ships finally sink below the horizon as your dinghy arrives at the port several hours later. There may have been few times you've been happier to have a solid ground beneath your feet, but you're hard pressed to think of one. Captain Blackguard is issuing orders to his remaining crew at a dock much further down. You see Briar doing the same to hers. You've lived to fight another day, but it looks like there'll be no escape from your contact with Blackguard yet. His sharp eyes find you in the crowd, and he gives you a subtle nod. Even if you still have to work for him, it's possible your situation will improve. Possible. So here you are, back in the port you left earlier today. If the captain has any kindness in his soul, which you doubt, you'll be headed to the Black Dog for a drink or some music. You can always hope. Chapter 2, San Alfonso. Chapter 2, San Alfonso. San Alfonso. If the crown were to be believed, San Alfonso would be the cesspool into which all of the villains and ruffians of the high seas drained. And while... Sorry, I'm just laughing at my own attempt at voice acting there. And while they'd be right about the company, San Alfonso is nothing like a cesspool. It's a bit more akin to a tropical paradise as you hear about in the romances, or even older tales of the beautiful island of Calypso. In atmosphere, it lacks nothing. Natural spring water runs freely. Trees provide papayas and mangoes aplenty, and the natural harbor guards against the worst weather. And the Crown's naval patrols. The port town itself is a vibrant place where locals mingle casually with sailors from distant shores, where the music cascades down the streets and where the rum flows in abundance. But there's also a clean little town. And though the law itself is quite relaxed, there's an unspoken truce among pirates, and an understanding that those who take advantage of the hospitality of San Alfonso in a way that harms her people will find themselves barred from the island. How should this come to pass? You're not sure, but there must be a reason that the leader of the port and town is known as El Sabio, the Wise. What part of San Alfonso do you enjoy visiting most on your trips to port? La Universidad de Cambiar, the School of Magic, La Biblioteca de Alejandro, the Library of Alexander, the Bazaar, La Taberna Lobo. I can't say that word just in case Twitch bans me. The Black Wolf Tavern. I realise there's nothing wrong with that word, by the way. Just a little worrisome of Twitch. Where do I want to go? Well, my magic failed me. The School of Magic. Let's go with the tavern, right? We're pirates. The tavern, pirates, definitely. That's definitely the correct choice. I don't know why I have headphones on. There's no music in this. That's better. It makes me feel a bit more natural. As luck would have it, the Lobo Negro is precisely where Captain Blackguard is leading you and the rest of your bedraggled crewmates. The day may have been awful, but at least evening is looking up. The Lobo Negro is exactly the kind of place the Crown would have its citizens believe represents San Alfonso entirely. A low-end, low-class establishment known for brawls, drunkenness, and crass humour. Where the rest of San Alfonso is almost eerily civilized, considering its population of scoundrels and sea dogs, The Lobo Negro is a raucous house of rum and music, dancing and debauchery. It is the first stop on nearly every sailor's list upon return to port, especially sailors who are half drowned. But, though good-natured brawls are commonplace, pirate captains never settle their grievances in the Lobo Negro. Like the rest of San Alfonso, the truce applies here, no matter how much one captain may hate another. So when Captain Briar and her crew show up, in much the same state as you and your crewmates, moments after your own arrival, you all avoid each other entirely. No sense rubbing salt into the wounds you're already licking. Captain Blackguard settles in a large table, and for the moment seems to have forgotten about you, giving you a short time to indulge your curiosity about the other patrons of the Lobo Negro. You've met friends and enemies and lovers under this roof, sometimes all three at once. After a day like today, you'll be glad of some congenial companionship. Oh, what sort of lovers? What sort of lovers do you normally seek? Okay, chat. Here we go. Here we go. This is a big decision. I can't make it on my own. What do you think? Hello, Malaria. Good to see you. Thank you for stopping by. So, what do you think? What do you think I should choose? What kind of lovers do I prefer? Do I prefer men, women? Men or women, it doesn't matter so long as they're a bit of fun. I don't take lovers. I don't trust anyone in my bed. Or I'm not interested. Or I don't want to go to bed with anyone I'm not serious about, but I don't mind looking. Both? Okay, both it is. Let's give myself some options, right? I don't think I can afford to be picky. You've had a merry tumble with men and women patrons of the Lobo Negro alike, and you recognize a few of your former companions in the tavern tonight, but it's not your former partners who catch your eye this evening. Like everyone else in Lobo Negro, your attention is drawn to Anne Reed, a wealthy pirate captain who's never given you a second glance. She's everything the romancers make a pirate out to be, and arrogant to boot. She boasts she'll one day be the Pirate King, and the way she holds court in the Lobo Negro, it's as if she's already assumed her title. I'm doing very well today, thank you. Reed would never let her gender stop her from becoming a king or anything else she's pleased to be. And the king is a king regardless of who holds the role. She might not be worth the trouble she'd undoubtedly come with, but there's no denying that she's attractive. She's got the strength and power to back up her bragging. In the crowd that flocks to her, you notice a newcomer who's particularly intriguing. He's leaning against the wall near Anne's table, and it's the way he watches them that makes you look at him twice. Oh, he's pretty enough. If you like that sort of thing. And he's muscular as a sailor should be, although he's nowhere near Caesar's size and strength. But those eyes take you in. Those eyes take in everything, and you can't help but wonder how the attention to detail would play out in his bed or in yours. How are you today? How are you today, Mel? Then again, there could be a reason for that watchful attitude. He's not looking at Anne with the worshipping gaze she expects, but more calculating expression. And that could mean trouble. There's another newcomer you notice, though for different reasons. A young Cambiante, an islander by heritage, if you're not mistaken, is seated at a table by herself, which means she's made an impression on someone. No one sits alone at the Lobo Negro unless they inspire respect or fear, so the Cambiante must have done something to stake a claim. Despite the honor, she doesn't look pleased with her solitary position. You could take a risk of buying her a drink and see if her frown is perpetual, or if she'd lighten up on her promise of a bit of fun. Yeah, no, I'm sorry I'm not reading chat, but like I'm reading this and I'm getting really into it. So please excuse me. Like every paragraph I'll take a break and look at chat. I do apologize. I apologize. I know, how dare I? Why even stream at all? Why don't you just read it yourself, Spencer? But is my audio okay? Is the level okay? Because I keep moving back and forth towards the mics. Let me know. Also, is the size of the text on the screen okay? Because I can make it larger or smaller. So, what do you think? And then a raucous burst of laughter draws your attention to another table, where John Gunn, a drunk old sea dog, is once again recounting his adventures to a group of young sailors, with such exaggeration that no bait of the world could catch the truth. Who would you like to approach? It's all good. Who would be like to approach? Well, honestly, John Gunn sounds kind of boring, but this interesting person sitting alone is who I fancy going to. Oh, or I could go to Anne Reid. Chat with the Cambiante. Yeah, let's go with the Cambiante. That person looks whatever. Have you ever heard of a Cambiante before? I don't know. Let's go with that. I think they sound like the most interesting character. Patrons around you all give you that look. You're either brave or an idiot. As you approach the table with the sad-looking Cambiante. God, I can hear it. My neighbour's playing some really loud music now. I hope you can't hear that. It's like thumping. Fucking assholes. May I join you? You ask. And the Cambiante looks up, startled. Oh no, I can't do this accent. This is gonna sound really racist. I'm sorry. You missed the beginning. I'm a pirate. The game is called Choice of the Pirate. As I look up at the top of the screen there. The only thing you've missed is that I was in a very brief battle. And my ship was destroyed, and now we got to shore, and now we're in like a pirate tavern. That's all that's happened so far. I met two characters, which was my captain and my friend on the boat. But yeah, I know nothing about the world so far. Okay, so here we go. Por supuesto, she says quickly. Oh dear. And one of the chairs from the table shifts towards you. You could have sworn her feet weren't close enough to move it, but she could have used cambiar. What's cambiar? Not without chanting or body motions, could she? Or just magic? Is actually a real word. I don't think so. Sorry. Oh my god. Sorry. I didn't expect anyone to join me. Okay, that's going to be her voice. That's going to be her voice, folks. Oh my god. Okay, so I can either say, a pretty thing like you, surely you don't want for company. You must have impressed someone to end up with a solo table, or why not? Your Aussie accent. But Australians have a sense of humor, at least, though. And Australian accents are really cool. Let's go with this one. Sounds respectful and not sleazy like the top one, right? The chair she nudged away from the table for you suddenly slams back into it. You're not sure how she did it. She used cambiar, you're sure, but without chanting, which makes it clear that people should be impressed. Apparently not enough for my reputation to have spread, she says with suspicion. Just what are your intentions? Oh my god. Oh my god. I can't believe I'm streaming me doing this. You hold your arms open defensively. Open defensively? That's what? I just wanted to chat, you say. I was curious what Cambiante was doing sitting in her own. What a Cambiante was doing sitting on her own in the Lobo Negro. It's not exactly the Universidad. Yes, that's my normal voice for me, my actual character. She shrugs. Just looking for a ship, she says. I'm Tinima. It's not uncommon among islanders, or pirates for that matter, to have a single name. Spencer de Bedlam Bard, you offer. That's my name, by the way. And while I think my captain's likely to leave our Cambiante here in port after our last battle, I can't say I recommend his ship. But before you can converse further, John Gunn launches himself from his table, tipping half the drinks. "'Tis sure and honest truth," he roars. "I've the map on me, and I'll prove it. I'll bring the treasure back, and no one will laugh at John Gunn again." Then he stumbles out of the taberna and into the night. His departure is largely greeted with laughter, but Blackguard isn't laughing. Your captain stands, beckons you, and sees a lord, and heads outside. You know without a doubt he's going to go after Gunn's treasure. So what will we do? Excuse myself and follow? He's the captain? Excuse myself and follow. There's treasure to be had. Look and see what Caesar's going to do. I wait. What's Blackguard going to do to me, the Lobo Negro? Yeah, let's follow. You know, let's just follow the captain, right? Blackguard paces in the moonlight. The sway in his step evidence that he's more accustomed to walking shipboard than on land. Lord, he says, acknowledging the big man. He then turns to you. The Bedlam Bard. So apparently he took the time to collect your name. You've had me back when it matters, he says to you. And there's no one I'd rather trust to have this expedition than ye. There's no one I'd rather trust to have on this expedition than ye. Perform well and I'll make it worth your while. You consider asking if he'll let you and Caesar out of your contracts, but it may not be the best way to respond to his gratitude. Blackguard gestures from the retreating form of John Gunn, that drunk old dog with his supposed treasure map. Who's saying this line so I can get the voice right? It would still be the captain, right? Gunn says he's got... Blackguard gestures. Yeah. Gunn says he's got a map of the treasure of Captain Avery Flint. 'Tis not the legend of Ishmael the Lost, but since we find ourselves in need of coin, we can't afford to miss this opportunity. We'll be the ones that get that treasure if you do your part. We'll split the shares equally. Let it not be said I'm a stingy captain. You and Caesar do your very best not to look at each other, because one of the two of you would be unable to keep a straight face. If the legends speak true, Flint left more than enough to buy a new ship, Blackguard continues. And I'll be damned if I stay landlocked longer than needs be. As Blackguard expounds on the idea with curses, Caesar leans down closer to you. If he left more than enough to buy a new ship, he says quietly, then by tomorrow you could be Captain Bedlam the Bard. Captain the Bedlam Bard. Oh my God. With me as your first mate. Need to record an audio tape. if I could do it. I'm quite enjoying this actually. I'd like this to take off. Just like playing these games as a kind of audiobook kind of thing. That would be super cool. Maybe I should do a casting call, right? Anyway, as Blackguard expounds on the idea with curses, Caesar leans down closer to you. Oh no, I just read that part. Okay. Your own ship, your own captaincy. It's an opportunity you've been after for years, and all you and Caesar need is the coin and a way out of those pesky contracts with Blackguard. Captain winds down his rant on the terror of being stranded ashore, and you and Caesar both nod dutifully in absent agreement. Blackguard turns to you. The Bedlam Bard, I think it's time for you to show some initiative and leadership. You know the code words for a captain putting a sailor to the test when you hear them. How shall we go about this? Team up with Gunn, intimidate Gunn into joining us, steal Gunn's map. Oh, I like the sound of that one. Follow Gunn to the treasure and take it from him. I don't need Gunn's map. I'll use magic to detect its location. What do you think? I really like the idea of stealing the map. Following him and taking it. It sounds more exciting to steal the map, right? Yeah, that sounds more piratey, right? Excuse me. Oh shit, yeah, forgot about this. It's against the tacit agreement of Alfonso to rob a man in the streets, no matter how oblivious and drunken he might be. And so it's with some skill that you catch Gunn when he stumbles, help him regain his feet, and walk away with the map you found under his coat. You and your companions take a different route out of the port, and together at the center of the island. And toward the center of the island, hoping to stay clear of Gunn once he realizes his map has been stolen. It's a warm night, and the walk from San Alfonso to the unconquered wilds of the island's center would be pleasant were it not for Blackguard's company, one of the many islands in the Lucayan. The interior of the island is hilly and covered with rainforest. The islanders may may have ways to navigate the forests, but they're a mystery to most sailors, and even the islanders build their villages among the shores rather than the thick forests. Though the ground is clear of low growth other than ferns, the canopy above blocks out the moonlight, making the night even darker. You've heard the rainforest is haunted. These stories are mostly told by drunk old dogs like Gunn, but with the sounds of movement above you and the occasional flurry of bats just overhead, you can understand why people are suspicious of these trees. What do you think about ghosts? So, what do I think about ghosts? Try not to rather focus on something I can shoot. Ghosts are in a state of change from living to dead, and nothing to be overly concerned about. Depends if they're friendly or hostile. What do you think? What should we do? I don't know if ghosts are real in this universe. Okay, but chat wants the second one. Thanks, Mel. Said like a true cambiante, or at the very least someone who listens when magic users talk about the supernatural. Following the map, you climb upward through the mahoganies and capocs. I don't know what a capoc is. That's the first time I've read that. Listening to the howlers and the verret monkeys argue in the trees. Once you hear the scream of a cat or a coati. I don't know what a coati is. Man, I need to Google a lot of things today. And though you know that no large predators live on the island, you find yourself keeping an extra sharp watch around you. That watchfulness helps you spot a pair of boulders that serve as the last landmark on the map. And then you're at the map's X. It's time to dig. Blackguard, always the treasure hunter, had Caesar carry the shovels for your team on your trek through the forest. Caesar hands them around and all of you put your backs to work. What are you planning to do about Blackguard? You're beyond the rules of San Alfonso. Now an accident that happened to him here would clearly be understood as beyond your control. Do I take a break from digging to get the drink, then shoot him while he's got his shovel in the dirt? Follow Blackguard's orders. Try to buy Blackguard off to get out my contract. Make him a bet. If my shovel hits the treasure, he'll let me and Caesar out our contracts and knock Blackguard out and take his share. Oh, what do you think? I don't... You know, so Captain Blackguard's an arsehole, but I think he's interesting because I've given him a wonderfully horrible, coarse Scottish voice. So what should I do? What should I do? Don't know what to do. Let's make him a bet. The last one? Knock him out and take his share. We can't just knock him out. That's right. Is that what a Viking would do? We can't just knock him out because he'll still be alive. Last one. All right, cool. We're okay. Okay, you got me. Knock him out and take his share because, god damn it, we're pirates and pirating is our game, right? Arr. It's not honorable, but it's not heartless. Blackguard is a worthless pirate, but you don't want to kill him in cold blood. It's just not your way. Of course, you'll have an enemy for life, but at least you won't have have to split the treasure. You let him get in front of you, and then a swift move, you draw your pistol and strike him with the butt across his skull. But the man really does have the devil's own luck. As you swing, he leans forward and you miss. But when he looks at you with those sharp, glinting eyes, you know you've seen exactly what you've done. There's no way for you to miss at this range, but somehow you do. Blackguard truly does have the devil's own luck. What? Okay. They repeated the sentence. There's no need for that. His cutlass almost magically appears in his hand, and Caesar's gun cocks above the pit, aiming down at your captain. The captain's eyebrows knot together. We get back aboard the ship. I'll have both of you flogged. Are you certain we'll both miss? Caesar asks in his deadly quiet voice, and Blackguard pauses. We'll part ways then, he says after a moment. You're both out of your contracts, and I'll be spreading the word that you're mutineers not worth the trouble to punish. He sheathes his cutlass and begins walking back down towards San Alfonso. That was really uneventful. All right, let him go. I go ahead and my contract, and that's enough. Shoot him in the back and hope the bullet takes, or call after him that we'll meet again. I want to let him go. I think he's cool. I'm sorry. I want to meet him again. This is probably going to be a bad choice game-wise. It's not going to do your reputation any good, but at least you're out from beneath that tyrant. And if the treasure's good enough, you should be able to buy your own ship. Comparatively, the rest of the evening is uneventful, and eventually the treasure is unearthed. The treasure chest is buried down deep, and it's an effort to haul it up, but it has a satisfying heft, and you're eager to see what's inside. Once you've hauled up the treasure, you, Caesar, and Blackguard divide it out. Blackguard's gone. There are nearly 2,000 doubloons here, a small fortune for a single night's work. You're surprised when Blackguard offers to buy you around to the Lobo Negro, but you won't turn him down. What'll you do with your share? That's me, sorry. What'll you do with your share? You ask Caesar. He shrugs. I thought I'd put it aside, he says. I'm done with the life at sea. I'm not done with the life at sea yet, and I've no desire for a ship of my own if there's a place for me on yours. You feel a warm glow in your chest at his words, and a stirring somewhere below that. From his expression, you suspect that he's interested as well, and that interest is something you'll have plenty of time to pursue on your new ship. You romantically interested? You offer your hand. Glad to have you aboard, you say. You make your way back to San Alfonso immensely richer, but the exhaustion sets in, and you're for bed. You're too tired to dally, and tomorrow you'll have to see about a ship. Ooh, cool. I'm liking this story so far. Chapter 3. The ship's the thing. Morning doesn't so much creep over the horizon in San Alfonso as shift suddenly from night to day. You've been to ports, mostly in the north, where the dawn hours are leisurely, the sounds and smells of early rising bakers filling the half-light. But in San Alfonso, other than the distant shrieking of howler monkeys and cacophony of birds, there's little preparation between the sleeping hours and the arrival of day. You roll over in your bed in a small room at the Lobo Negro, alone. Damn it. We'll get him next time. Taking a moment to recall where you are, you have a vague recollection of exhaustion and grog, and before that, digging up treasure and dealing with Blackguard. You and Caesar splurged on a private room, unwilling to stay in the commons with so much cash, so when the doorknob starts to turn, the first thing you reach for is your pistol. But it's Caesar, wearing a grin as huge as he is. Good morning, Captain, he says cheerfully. Oh, sorry, I need to make that more cheerful. Good morning, Captain, he says cheerfully. Do I groan and roll over, pull my pillow over my head? Ask why he's up so early. Swing out of bed, time's a wasting our ship to buy. Hell yes. This bed is awfully warm. Oh, we can seduce him. Will we seduce him? Yes. Oh God, I hope this doesn't get lewd. You put down the pistol and stretch seductively. Could be a better morning, you say, patting the bed beside you. From the sudden blank expression on his face and the way his pupils dilate, you know you've made your meaning clear. He hesitates, but then he locks the door and joins you. His hand cupping your neck, his lips scorching yours, You're a tangle of limbs and sheets, and by the time you've finished, the howler monkeys have long since stopped their shrieking. It's a lovely and satisfying way to start the day. But the day has indeed started, and it's time you caught up with it. You trace your finger along Caesar's broad shoulders, and then swing out of bed, looking for your clothing. Yeah, you want to wake up with a big burly pirate. Who doesn't? Who doesn't? So why are you up so early? You ask, and Caesar looks sheepish. I had in mind to tell you as soon as I got back, he says. Something distracted me. You throw your shirt at his head and get dressed. As he dresses, he tells you the news. I headed off before first light, down to the docks to see if anyone was up and looking for work. It was a terrible read, I do apologize. He waits for your nod before he continues. There were plenty, a few of them still drunk from their hours in the tavern, but more early risers. With a look of hard workers. God damn, that was a terrible read. Let's do that again. There were plenty, a few of them still drunk from their hours at the tavern, but more early risers, with a look of hard workers. God, no, I can't read that very well. I don't like the construction of that sentence. And Tanima Gambiente was there, also. If you approve of them, we've got a crew. I really should not have picked this voice. You have a crew. That almost makes you a real captain, and despite yourself, you can't hide your excitement. Let's find ourselves a ship, you say. The docks of San Alfonso are a busy place, with both legitimate and larcenous captains moving the cargo in and out. While Mateo Rodriguez, the respected shipwright, might be the best person to consult about getting a new ship, you heard in conversations at the Lobo Negro that the workshop is booked until next spring. A captain with enough coin could probably persuade him to fit in an extra order, but you've neither the clout nor the wealth to be that captain. Not yet, anyway. So your best option is to take a stroll down to the harbour master's office as Captain de Puerto, Karolina De La Playa knows exactly who is in San Alfonso is willing to sell their ship, and she'll broker it for a price. So, shall we get some breakfast from a bakery and listen to the gossip, or take a walk down to the docks to identify likely ships, or go to the harbour master's office? Let's go straight to the harbour master's office. Or will we listen to some gossip? We might hear something really cool. Let's do that. You and Caesar pick up breadfruit pastries and local conversation at the panaderia within view of the docks. The pastry's excellent, the gossip less so, but you do pick up a few interesting tidbits. That word is actually titbit. Tit. You notice that as you enter the panaderia, that's a new word for me again, people shy away from you, and you hear more than one person mutter, "Mutineer," as you walk by. Blackguard's promise of destroying your reputation has already begun to take effect, it seems. Well, no matter. You'll show them all. But of course you know that. There's the usual talk about sea serpents and ghost ships and the latest restrictions put on trade by the Crown, but nothing terribly useful. With that out of the way, you head to the harbour master's office. Karolina De La Playa is a stern woman nearing 60. You've heard stories that in her youth she was a fierce duellist, and the scar that runs from the corner of her eye to her shoulder attests that she's seen plenty of action. You do like gossip. Seems like a piratey thing to do, right? Go somewhere and listen to the gossip. Despite her greying hair, you see hints of the dark tresses that once earned her moniker, the Sea Raven, and you suspect she's not any more lenient as the Captain de Puerto than she was a pirate. She stands up from her desk as you and Caesar enter. She gives you an she gives you an appraising look. Oh, sorry. Got a bit of a burpee in me there. I need to do a voice for her. I wondered when you'd be in the Bedlam, she says without preamble. Word in San Alfonso is that you are looking for a ship. Congratulations on your promotion to captain. You search her face for a tiny hint of sarcasm or judgment, but her expression is carefully blank. It would be wise to never play cards with this woman. We're gonna play Observer. Oh shit! No, I'm gonna do that. I got that a couple of weeks ago, and I was gonna do that. As Observer. Wait, I thought that was a. Oh, I'm thinking about Observation. Yeah, Observer's on my list of things to play as well. Okay, I'm gonna have to have a race to see who does it first. And no one's gonna watch my stream anyway. Okay, so what are we doing? Thank you, ma'am. Or word is right. What do you have for me? I've got a crew. I need someplace to put them. You gotta play Observer. Oh, you gonna play? Oh, sorry. Yeah. You already played it. Okay, cool. All right. Observer will be the next game I play then. What do you have for me? Oh, whatever. Okay, well, that'll do. De La Playa quirks an eyebrow at you, seemingly amused by your presence. You bet she treats all the new captains this way. I'll let you know in advance when I'm going to stream it. It's good news for you, she says after a moment's consideration. I've 3 ships I want out of my docks and back to sea. You may have heard that the schooner Bella Nina is up for sale. I'm brokering that for Captain Colon. Really, Captain Colon? Taking offers starting at 400 doubloons. Captain Cudgel's retiring, and I'm brokering the sale of his brig, the Twilight Maiden, starting at 250. You wait, but when she says nothing, you prompt her. And the third? The Sea Queen, she says. She's an old galleon and perfectly seaworthy. Large hold and plenty of cannons. You can hear the bots before she says it. The problem is that she's haunted, De La Playa says in that same straight tone. Oh, mixed up my voices. In that same straight tone, although a hitch at the beginning reveals just a bit of fear. To tell the truth, if you can get her out of my harbor, she's yours. Which ship should you take a look at? Let's take the fucking haunted ship. God damn. Hell yes. A haunted ghost ship called the Sea Queen. God damn. God damn right. I'm not even waiting for chat's contribution for that one. Of course that's the correct choice. The galleon, with its crowned mermaid figurehead, is an imposing old lady, moored yards out from the docks. She's dark, and although it looks like there have been attempts to keep her in good care while she's been in the harbour, you see line that needs to be replaced. You see line that needs to be... Oh, line, of course. You see line that needs to be replaced. Sails that need mending, spots on the hull that need pitch. And given how much you'll save on getting the ship for free, though you think it'll be worth the expense and repairs. I don't know why I had so much trouble there. My brain just stopped working. And there's nothing like sailing a haunted ship to improve your fame. Oh, yes. I'd like to see how she handles. I want to see the other ships before I decide. I'm ready to make an offer on a ship. I'll take her. Well, I'm just taking this ghost ship. It's like love at first sight. Caesar looks at you askance. Caesar looks at you askance. Askance. I've maybe heard that once in my life. God damn. God damn. Where's my... I used to have a dictionary, actually. Thanks to the internet. But you can't take your eyes off the ship. You'll take her for a trial run? De La Playa says. Skeleton crew. Not literally, Caesar says, sounding more nervous than you'd expect of him. Captain de Puerto's lips twitch in something resembling a smile. Not literally, I hope. Caesar has the good grace to turn away from her and hide his gulp of apprehension. De La Playa gestures to the ship. Take her out, Captain de Bedlam. I wish you luck. Be back in time for the auction if you want a chance at those other ships. The Sea Queen is a beautiful old galleon, or would have been in a heyday. Everywhere you look, things appear to be in disrepair, but upon closer inspection, it's an illusion. The ship is well kept, despite the air of dust. She's moored far enough away from the docks to keep other sailors from being too put off by her presence. Even the most logical of pirates tend to have a superstitious streak, and you can understand why Captain De Porto would like to be rid of her. The 2 sailors who work for De La Playa are ready enough to get rid of you by the time they get you to the mooring. Caesar brought a handful of your new crew to board her, including Tenima Cambiente. She ought to be able to handle anything spooky, he says under his breath. As you survey the group. While most of the crew looks nervous at the prospect of boarding a haunted ship, the Cambiente just looks at the ship like it's a puzzle. Climb up the ladder, determined to show no hesitation in your first moments as captain. Caesar is a little more hesitant, but you'd be surprised if anyone but you saw this as caution rather than a determination to supervise the new crew under his scrutiny. Tanima follows behind you closely, her thoughtful expression fading into excitement the closer she gets to the deck. The rest of your crew look ready enough to take her out into the harbor and bring her back once you've made your judgment. A few nervous sailors who row around you to her mooring are in a hurry to get back to the docks. You glance at your Cambiante. Well, Tanima? I can't remember what her voice was. It's definitely haunted, says Tanima. Her eyes closed. She breathes in slowly, and you think the deck ripples beneath her feet. She looks at you with a shrug. I don't know if she's friendly or malicious, but I always think it's best to be polite to ghosts. I'll help as best I can. What is your strategy for facing this ghost? Challenge the ghost to a duel? Use magic to politely summon the spirit? Use magic to force it to appear? Let's ask Tanima to summon the spirit. She's going to be the magic person on board. Let's give her a job. Tanima nods and closes her eyes again. A breeze surrounds the ship, ruffling the edges of the still battened sail. Before you on the deck appears the spectral form of an old woman wearing a tricorn hat, glasses, a captain's jacket, and a cutlass. You must be the spirit behind the Sea Queen's haunted Oh, that's me. Okay. You must be the spirit behind the Sea Queen's haunted reputation, you say. In a jovial fashion, which seems unfitting towards the situation. You must be the latest in a long line of daredevil captains to attempt to take my ship, the old woman says, her voice crotchety. Oh, we can make it more crotchety. Can you romance the ghost? Let's try. What makes you think I'll give her to you? What makes you think I'm asking? Begone full spirit? See a long and profitable partnership? Aren't you bored of being moored? Let's be reasonable at this. Yeah, so let's get her on the side. Aren't you bored? Yes, that seems like the most friendly thing to ask, right? Appealing to an old lady's sense of nostalgia, the ghost scolds. Shame on you. You'll have to do better than that. Have to do better than that. So, profitable? But what would a ghost want? Not every encounter is about profit, the ghost scolds. I find I'm bored of this conversation. Shit. The ship shudders again, and you get the sense that it's threatening to throw you off. After a moment's hesitation, the ship creaks so loudly it's almost like a scream in your ears, and the deck quakes beneath you so hard that it tosses you and your crew off your feet. Despite the lack of wind, the ship begins to toss and lie on coils, dancing around you. The crew is terrified, and Caesar is already hailing a rowboat to come back to the mooring and pick you up. You can't blame him. The Sea Queen is too haunted for you to manage. There's no sense in sailing a ship that's trying to kill you. You've got enough rivals, not to mention the crown, to also take care of that. But there's still time to make a bid on another ship. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! Screw that up. Oh, fuck. Oh well. The auction is scheduled for 2 bells. A few hours after De La Playa left you. You hear some buzz around San Alfonso as the time nears. Crowd gathers at the harbour master's office, including several members of your crew and some faces you recognize from the Lobo Negro. Anne Reed is there, looking as fabulous and wealthy as her reputation. The newcomer you noticed at the Lobo Negro last night approaches you from the crowd. He holds up his hand for you to shake, making a show of not having any weapons available. You suspect he's got one last dagger in his vest, and that peace knot on his sword looks more decorative than functional. There's also something that seems just a little off about him. He doesn't quite fit in here at San Alfonso, but then San Alfonso gets all kinds. Joaquin de Aviles, he says, introducing himself. They say you're the man to know if I want inside knowledge about this auction. What's that? What are the cat people from Skyrim called again? For some reason I was doing that voice. Who knows? I think I need to pick another Khajiit. That's the one, thank you. God damn. They're all Khajiit. Caesar gives you a look, requesting permission to rid yourself of his suspiciously cheerful newcomer, but you shake your head. No need to be rude. Yet. Depends on what you want to know, you say. I understand there is going to be a duel, he says lightly. Is that how things are normally done around here? What will we do? A duel? What better way is there to solve a quarrel? Hell yes, that's the pirate way, right? Violence is always the answer. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Joaquin says sagely, and you're not quite sure whether he's mocking you or trying to fit in. In truth, sometimes there's a duel. Sometimes there's just gold on the table, and sometimes Karolina De La Playa has actually attempted bids in open negotiation rather than make a spectacle. You wonder if the public auction is for your benefit or detriment, or if it has nothing to do with you at all. But today there will be a duel. Joaquin presses. Only if the crowd is very unlucky, Caesar murmurs. It's possible to handle these things in a civilized manner. God damn, I fail his name every time. Joaquin? Let's go for that one. Joaquin's grin is wolfish, and you wonder how a newcomer to San Alfonso has already learned how to make a show of restraining violence. I should certainly hope so, he says. Of course, you've already decided how you want the auction to go. The only thing to determine is whether you'll be successful. The crowd is most excited at the auction of the Bella Nina, in part because Anne Reed is making a bid for it. Do you want to make a try for the Bella Nina? That was a good ship, right? I don't remember what the other ships were like. Wait for the next auction. Want to spend save the money and watch with the crowd? Yeah, why not? Because I can still fail to get this one. If I fail to get this one, I can still try for the next one, right? Assuming I don't get killed. The best reason why not is that you don't have a surplus of money, but there are options. I ask Anne to front me as captain. I ask Karolina De La Playa to front me alone against future earnings. But Anne is very ambitious. She's not going to... Yeah, let's do that one. It's gutsy, it's bold, it's probably stupid, but it's worth a try. Captain, you say before the bidders can get to her. I know I don't have the money to make a proper bid, but I'm confident enough in my potential earnings that I can sign a promissory note. De La Playa considers the offer, a promise of repayment, a legal documentation that ties you to San Alfonso. The city wanted by the crown is a risky thing for a pirate to have. And any pirate who ever broke a promissory note to San Alfonso wouldn't be allowed back in the harbour. Between El Sabio and the Pirate King, who rumours say has a soft spot for the port, there's no doubt that the breaker would be hunted down on the open sea. Oh shit. Maybe this isn't a good idea after all. All right, the Bedlam Bard. As part of this moment, you are indebted to San Alfonso for 25 doubloons, she says, drawing up some paperwork. That's for the right to take a loan against future earnings. We'll add the debt of the ship's value to the note if you win her. She looks at you sharply, the scar twitching near her eye. Don't go over 600. City can't afford it. And with that, you're in the auction, facing off against the notorious Anne Reed. You face off against Anne, both of you looking at each other for weaknesses. How do you want to challenge your opponent? Yeah, so I can bid her up to 600. Sometimes money is the only way to make things move, even if you have to go into debt to do it. Hopefully this won't be the case for you today. The bidding starts at 400, and immediately raises the bid incrementally by 50 doubloons. What's the highest you are willing to go? Start at 600. No. Okay, well, why? The obvious choice is the least amount of money. It's a conservative bid, and it's not enough to win you the ship. Oh, no, what? That's not how auctions work. I should... With a grin, waits... and quickly outbids you, and with a grin waits for De La Playa to announce the winner. When you make no move to counteroffer, De La Playa announces Anne the winner of the Bella Nina. What? What the fuck? Why didn't it give me options to keep increasing my bid? It's an auction. God damn. So now I owe money. I can just give the money back, right? Once the excitement of the auction for the Bella Nina dies down, the next auction begins. Do you want to make a try for the Twilight Maiden? Yes, because this is my last option. I have to get this. Why not indeed? Your opponent in the bid is a wiry woman named Siobhan Mark. You think she's a member of Captain Briar's crew, and you suspect that she puts you on about equal footing as far as the crowd is concerned. You face off after Siobhan, and both of you looking at the other for weaknesses. God damn it, Spencer. How do you want to challenge your opponent? Yeah, let's go for money, because I've got loads of money. Start at 400. Yeah, I can easily start at 400. Sometimes money is the only way to make things move, even if you have to go into debt to do it. Hopefully that won't be the case for you today. The bidding starts at 250. Siobhan immediately raises the bid incrementally by 25 doubloons. How high are you willing to go? Start at 400. Let's blow her out of the water. Your preemptive bid sends a gasp through the crowd. Well? Oh, okay. Siobhan's voice. Well? She's no longer a deal at that price, Siobhan says. Take her then, if she's worth that much to you. Karolina De La Playa waits for a moment to make sure there are no further comments, then announces to the crowd, the winner of the Twilight Maiden is Captain Spencer de la Bedlam for 400 doubloons. Now that the auction is over, you deserve some time to relax. Whew. Take some time to arrange this and for the crew to wrap up their affairs, so you've at least one more night in San Alfonso before you ship out. There's time to socialize, or if you prefer, romance while you're still in port. Then again, there's always work to be done, and if you're just about to embark on your illustrious and ignoble career, how will you spend the evening? Ooh, so how shall we spend the evening, folks? With Caesar, Tinema, Anne Reed, Joaquin, a comely or willing partner with the vessel, making sure everything is shipshape. Now, I would check the vessel, but I'm not doing a come line willing partner. Gotta check the ship, right? I don't want to find out later that something's going wrong with it. There's plenty to take care of without socializing, and you aim to get some work done before your crew boards the ship. You spend the rest of the day getting to know your vessel. It's clear she's been used for smuggling before, and you find some very intriguing nooks and crannies in the cargo hold that might even fool a Crown inspection. If you're trying to pass off your ship as a legal operation, you admire... Terrible read there. It all is, Spencer. It's all bad. You admire the coil of her line. Make a couple of notes as to how her rigging needs improvement and check her cells for wear. She has an extra spar in the hold, surprisingly spacious bunks for your crew. You'll still have to share berths with the alternate watch except for you, your first mate, and your cambiante. But even Caesar, tall as he is, should have enough room to wiggle his toes in his sleep. Really disappointed by this, because not only could I have had the ghost ship, I could have had that really cool expensive ship as well. I'm really disappointed by that. Damn it. I managed to get the loan as well. In the morning, Caesar is once again up before dawn, and you meet him at the docks. The Twilight Maiden's sails billow in the morning breeze, and your crew arrives aboard. Supplies loaded aboard, Captain, Caesar says cheerfully. We're waiting for your We're waiting for your permission to cast off. God, that's like the worst American accent I've ever done in my life. I'm sorry, it's like I'm trying to do Solid Snake. Permission granted, first mate, you say. You say with what you hope is captainly gravitas? Oh, let's try that again. Permission granted, first mate. The Twilight Maiden is ready to sail, except that when you get just beyond the sight of port, she starts taking on water. A lot of water. How would you like to handle making repairs? This much damage would best dock at San Alfonso, make repairs properly as we go, improvise repairs as we go, or use the cambiar to repair the hull? Yes. I don't know what. Oh, that's cambiar, that's the magic, right? Let's do it. From her reputation, Tanima's ridiculously powerful. You may as well put her skills and your own to the test. You focus on trying to convince the wood of the ship that it wants to be made whole again. Not that you're much help. Over the next few days, Tanima spends all her time focused on repairing the ship, while your crew mans the bilge pumps. This means that Tamina can't spend time giving you wind, so you drift further away from the trade routes where your targets are sailing. Damn it. But in a week you're ship shape, and while your crew is frustrated with the additional work and the strain on your cambiante, things are looking up. You're on the sea with your ship and your crew, and you're ready to begin your illustrious or ignoble career. Suck the water. Oh shit, sorry, I wasn't looking at chat. Going to say Annie. Oh. I'm sorry. Oh, goddamn. I'm really sorry. I did not see chat move. Usually I can see it out the corner of my eye, but I just didn't. And or the lag. I'm going to blame that. You're beginning your career with less money than you hoped. Luckily, Caesar has been able to defray expenses and doesn't seem to be counting that against you. Hey, it's a good thing we romanced him then. But in the meantime, you still owe San Alfonso 50. Fuck. Why do I still have that debt? I didn't even need the money. God damn it. Would you like to make the payment? Yes, get rid of it. Hoping to forget about it. No, we're getting rid of that debt. I don't want pirates coming after me. You're in the clear, and that pesky documentation about your finances is filed away. Hopefully never seen again. It's time to decide what your first target as pirate captain will be. This first move could set the tone for the rest of your career. And your legend. While opportunity is an important factor in identifying a target, what would your ideal opponent be? So do I want a pirate ship? I want to become known as a pirate hunter? A Crown Navy ship or a merchant vessel? Will we go straight to the Crown Navy? Mm, mm, mm. Hell yes. Do we want? What do you think, Mel? What do you think? I'm gonna actually listen to chat for once. Do you want to attack another pirate? Go for the Crown Navy or a merchant vessel. I think we'd get money from a merchant vessel. The Navy. Okay. Dangerous option. And I have like the worst ship as well. Oh well. There's not a lot of money in targeting Navy ships, but you would get the satisfaction of thumbing your nose at the Crown. It's a fine day at sea. Clear skies, good visibility, and wind around 60 knots. When you see her, she's a perfect target. She's a stately-looking galleon flying the red and gold of the Crown flag. Better yet, she's not sailing very quickly. It looks like she recently took some damage. How do you plan to take her? All right. Disable her with cannons and then take the ship after she's damaged. Rely on superior sailing to board her without causing too much damage. Or run a flag for parley and then attack when we get close enough. Oh. Hey, you! Join the Navy! Superliminal. Let's go for the sneaky parley and then attack when we get close, do you think? That's what I think, because the Navy is going to be good at naval warfare, surely. Surely. Alright. Thanks for coming by, Mel. See you another time. See ya later. How very dishonorable of you. But the tactic will get you close without fancy sailing. And as long as your crew doesn't look too eager to board, you might be able to take them by surprise. Relay your orders, and Caesar calls out for the crew to run up the white flag and continue to sail casual. That word should be casually. As you approach, Caesar looks out at your foe through the spyglass. That's odd, he says quietly. What? You ask, and he hands you the spyglass. Look at their feet, Caesar rumbles. Never seen so many Crown Marines without shoes. He's right. There are other details that don't fit a Crown's ship either. While the crew's wearing uniforms, they're mismatched, nowhere near as well kept as the Navy demands of its sailors. She's a pirate ship, you acknowledge. What does her captain think he'll gain by flying in disguise? Maybe she's wanted, Caesar suggests. Continue to pursue? Oh, excuse me. Oh, you'll continue to pursue, all right. This is your first target and your first chance to make a name for yourself. Besides, now you're curious about what the ship is hiding. But now that you have better information, do you want to adjust your tactics? So, stick with the plan. So they're waiting for us to get... They're trying to trick us into a parley situation. If they want us to get close, then we should wreck their asses from a distance. Caesar relays the change of plans and your crew falls too. You sail to the edge of cannon range. Your crew waits for your order. Fire! You shout. Caesar echoes your command. Your crew's not as orderly and efficient as a Crown crew, but they load and fire with gusto. The noise is deafening, and that's before the disguised galleon starts firing back. Fire! You shout again. Your cannons blaze. It's no contest. Your guns are better. Your crew is quicker. You could sink this ship into the deep without much effort. How do you want to damage her? Awesome. Awesome. Fire a chain shot into her rigging to damage the sails and mast to bombard her hull. As we close, fire case shot and anti-personnel ammunition into the crew. Oh, that sounds hella cool. That sounds really cool. Just murdering them. We'll keep the ship okay. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Case shot. Small projectiles packed into a case fitted into the cannon is ideal for anti-personnel shot, and your opponent's crew dives for cover once the hail of tin scraps, broken nails, and other sharp odds and ends explode onto them. Your crew cheers as some of the galleon's crew jump overboard rather than face another volley, and then the second volley crashes into them. At this rate, we might even be able to take the ship and limp her back to San Alfonso, Caesar says cheerfully. You grin. Prepare the crew for boarding, you say. And Caesar relays your orders to the crowing fucking words. To a crowing crew. It's chaos almost immediately. Your crew swarms onto the galleon like blue fish in a frenzy. Grappling hooks clang into the galleon's rigging. Pistol shots fill the air with smoke and thunder, and swords flash in the Lucayan sunlight. The screams and smells of battle assault your senses, and your vision narrows to your purpose. I fight alongside my crew. I stay at the helm. I use the cambiar to aid in battle. I fight alongside the crew. Hell yes. You leave Caesar at the helm and board the galleon with your crew, your cutlass and pistol, doing more to motivate the sailors under your command than mere words could. Your crew swarms the deck, crashing into the enemy like waves on rocks. Despite the smoke, cutlasses flash and fists pound into flesh like the beat of island drums. The battle itself takes less time than you expected. The galleon's crew was certainly not prepared to face a ship and crew of the strength and skill you've displayed, and while a few stay loyal to the captain, falling under the blades of your sailors, most are quick to surrender, perhaps hoping to rely on your mercy. To finalize your victory, you stand on the galleon's deck, towering over the bound and wounded captain, who has been forced to her knees. Caesar, who has seen her in San Alfonso, reports that her name is Double, because she brags about her ability with disguises. To tell you the truth, he says quietly, I'm disappointed she wasn't better at it. The stories about her make her sound more accomplished. Your crew have already begun the work of gathering the booty from the galleon's hold and transferring it over to the ship. There's a prisoner in the brig, one of them tells you. What should we do with him? I ask the captain who he is. Who are you? Yeah, let's ask who he is. Put your sword to her throat. Who's in the brig? Promise me my freedom and I'll answer, she says, rather more calmly than anyone with a sword to their throat should. Yeah, I'm going to agree to her terms and lie. Yeah, because I'm a filthy pirate. You're a pirate. It's not as if your word is good. Agreed, you say. You lower your cutlass. After sending the sailor who told you about the prisoner back to the brig to stand guard, you nod to the captain to continue. The man in the brig is Evan Lark, Double says, as if that should explain everything. When you don't gasp in shock, clearly the response she was looking for, she continues. Lark is El Sabio's secretary and right-hand man. He handles El Sabio's correspondence, San Alfonso's financial records, and the number of other bits of information the Crown would like to get their sticky hands on. Why does the Crown care about El Sabio? Tanima asks. The captain seems condescendingly amused by her question. The Crown is convinced that El Sabio can lead them to the Pirate King. Oh, they want San Alfonso too. All that pre-tax money leaching out of their coffers in a port doesn't acknowledge them. But even if they know the location of San Alfonso, they've got reason to believe they do. They won't take the island unless they think they can get their hands on the Pirate King first. And if they're right, and El Sabio knows the Pirate King's identity, Evan Lark knows it too. I'm sorry that her annoying voice, but I started it, so I'll have to finish it. So why were you going to sell him to the Crown? You ask. Double shrugs, with a glance at your cutlass. Not without seeing how much El Sabio would be willing to ransom him back for first. My Cambiante sent out a wind whisper earlier today with a ransom demand. We had a couple of hours yet before we set course for Puerto Belina when you engaged us. Puerto Belina, home to the crown's governor of the Lucayan territories. If they took Lark there, not even the Pirate King could get him back. In the meantime, not only do you have a captured galleon and whatever booty is in its hold on your hands, but also potentially dangerous, potentially lucrative captive. Oh, let's talk to the prisoner before I decide. Ransom sounds like a good idea. Too dangerous to live. Yeah, let's talk to the prisoner. You can't just assume that your subdued foe is telling the truth after all. You'll go down to the brig and see if the prisoner corroborates her tale. I'm going to take a very quick break. I will be back in just a second. Whoops, what am I doing? Hello, I'm back. There we are. Why do I need headphones? There's no sound in this game. Already. Cool, right. Where were we? The Galleon's brig is no roomy dungeon. It's a single cramped cell that might have been designed to hold fish. It still has that smell about it. Inside is a man with a youthful appearance whose thin form suggests a life indoors. His clothing is of the current, most fashionable style in the Lucayan, probably imported from the continent. You get the impression that he is nearly as frustrated by his lack of fastidiousness as he is being imprisoned in the first place. You can imagine that his black hair was once tied back neatly at the nape of his neck, and his rich clothes weren't so scuffed and out of place. He's probably also close to overheating, given that fashionable and practical so rarely go hand in hand with clothes from the continent. I suspect he's some governor's spoiled brat kidnapped for ransom, says the sailor who told you of the prisoner in the first place. You approach the bars of the too small cell and see the remains of a mealy piece of bread on a tin plate. At least he's tried to stomach something to keep his strength up, if those skinny arms have any strength. Set him at ease with a joke. Let's introduce himself. Let's not reveal that I know his name yet. I'm Captain Spencer de Bedlam of the Twilight Maiden, you say. Who are you? Captain de Bedlambard, I'm Evan Lark, secretary to El Sabio, the man says, trying to stand and bow, although there's room for neither in his cell. I've heard some things about you. I can only hope that your presence here implies some sort of rescue. How did you come to be captured in the first place, you ask? Lark sighs, slumping back down. I apologize for not conversing more properly, but I hope you'll forgive me for remaining seated. You nod for him to go on. I believe I've gotten a bit careless in my security, he continues, fussing with a loose button on his jacket. You see, next to no one in San Alfonso is prepared to have their sanctuary removed. So few people question El Sabio. In part, it's because people are happy. The city is well run, trade is good, and El Sabio's imposition on commerce is so much smaller than the crown's that few see a need to question it, but also because El Sabio's goodwill offers a sort of protection to San Alfonso's residents and frequent visitors. So it didn't occur to me that someone might consider me a target for kidnapping. I was taking a stroll along the beach, as is a typical evening custom of mine, when I found myself surrounded by ruffians. I attempted to fight them off with my rapier, but there were too many. Loving this. While you have trouble imagining him even lifting a rapier, let alone fighting with one, do you know why a group of pirates would be interested in kidnapping a secretary? You ask. Ransom, Lark says simply, or to sell me to the crown. He smiles thinly. I handle all of El Sabio's correspondence and organize the finances for San Alfonso. The crown is very interested in San Alfonso, given that we've so far avoided paying them any taxes as a haven for a number of wanted criminals. And I suspect the crown thinks El Sabio knows something about the Pirate King, which, of course, is sheer nonsense. No one knows the identity of the Pirate King. So, will I return to El Sabio? Maybe a pirate, but I'm no kidnapper. I'll return Lark to El Sabio. I don't want to face the Pirate King's wrath. That ransom plan sounds like a good idea. Lark's too dangerous to live. The only way to protect San Alfonso is to kill him. Oh, I don't know what to do. A ransom? A ransom? That can get me rich. Let's pirate wants riches. Of course, you can't phrase it that way. After questioning the captain about just what type of ransom they expected, you turn to your cambiante. Tanima, can you send a wind whisper to El Sabio? She spends a moment looking hard at the galleon's cambiante. I can now, she replies confidently. Tell him we've just captured the ship that kidnapped Evan Lark, you say. We'll be bringing him back to San Alfonso, and we'll be happy to accept our reward money he posted for Lark's safe return. Reward money? Tanima frowns. Say 300 doubloons, you continue. That's only half the requested ransom, and would make a suitable reward. You're not really fooling anyone here. You're asking for a ransom as well, but it's a generous price considering what the others offered, and you're at least pretending to extend some goodwill and the chance for El Sabio to save face after losing such an asset in the first place. I'm a smart pirate. I like it. A few moments later, Tanima nods. He's agreed and offers his thanks, she says. I think I detected some sarcasm, but it's hard to accurately read tone in a wind whisper. So that's settled. Now all you have to do is decide what to do about the galleon. What will you do with the ship and her crew? Maroon the captain, take the ship, and offer the crew positions of my fleet. Kill everyone and burn the ship. Offer the masquerading captain a chance to join your fleet. Ah, well. Maroon the captain. What do I want to do? Do I want to maroon the captain, or she could be an asset? Let's maroon the captain, just in case she decides that that she wants to take back her ship. But then we'll offer the rest of the crew positions. The galleon is no competition for the Twilight Maiden, but she'll do to expand your fleet. Double seems bitter about her fate, but you hear no curses as you sail away from the island where you've marooned her, making you think that perhaps she'll survive, and if she does, maybe one day you'll face her again. I'm making a lot of enemies. You mix your crew and galleons so that both ships are dominated by sailors Caesar hired, and you make Caesar acting captain. The galleon had enough booty that you'll be able to afford your new hires as well as repairs to the ships and still make a bit of profit. Hey! Piracy. All in all, you think it's a fine way to have ended your first voyage, until, that is, you get back to San Alfonso a few weeks and couple of marks later. You're greeted at the dock by Captain De La Playa, whose stoic expression reveals nothing about her purpose. El Sabio would like a word, she says, dispensing with any greeting. While you don't think she's technically arresting you, you have the feeling that this may not be the type of invitation you can refuse. Accompanied by Caesar and Tanima, you make your way to the home of El Sabio. San Alfonso's leader lives in a hacienda overlooking a cliff just beyond the northern edges of the city. You'd be hard-pressed to come up with a more glorious spot on the island to overlook the Lucayan. The lands surrounding the house are filled with sugar cane, and although there is a number of workers out in the field, there are fewer than you'd expect for the size of the operation. There are no whips to inspire them either. They seem to be working hard of their own volition, and despite the intensity of their labor, you get the impression that they aren't the type of workers who would run given the first opportunity. I wonder how El Sabio pays them, you muse aloud. Nice as it is, Caesar says. It guarantees paying them with more than just the view. Plantation House itself is impressive, easily as grand as the governor's mansions in Puerto Belina. The main hall is decorated with tapestries from the continent and furniture from the east, but the display of wealth is more comfortable than ostentatious. The chairs in the parlor look inviting to sit in rather than stiff-backed, to encourage visitors to leave soon after arriving. Books line the walls, written in languages from all over the world. Both El Sabio's worldliness and his love for learning are apparent in the chosen decorations, sculptures, and paintings on offer from mythologies across the globe, some of which you recognize, and some of which you don't. Tanima's fingers rest on some small statuettes. These are by a local artist, she says. They're beautifully done. What's his voice going to be? What voice can I do for this guy? I'm glad you admire them, says a voice, and immediately Caesar is on his feet. An older man with greying hair, dark, leathery skin, and a wide face enters the parlor wearing fashionable but somewhat casual clothing. He looks far more appropriately dressed for the weather than many leaders you've seen so far in the Lucian, who are determined to keep up with continental styles regardless of their impracticality. But despite the casual nature of his clothing, his bearing is hard to ignore. This is a man who commands attention and who wields power. Some sailors whisper that not only is El Sabio linked to the Pirate King, he is the Pirate King. If it weren't for his age and land-based position, you might believe it. Perhaps when he was younger. They are some of my favorites. Wow, that voice went very wrong very fast. Do I politely compliment his home and collection? Interrupt, saying we didn't come to talk about art, prompt him to discuss business. Yeah, if he is, there were several paragraphs to say how cool his stuff was, so let's give him a compliment. El Sabio offers a small smile. Thank you, he says, but I'm sure you didn't come here to talk about art. Please sit, and we can get to business. You and Tanima both find seats, but Caesar hovers behind your left shoulder, acting more like a bodyguard than a first mate. You see no weapons on El Sabio, but you know Caesar, just because he doesn't see weapons, doesn't mean he'll accept that they're not there. What is it that you require of us? You ask. I'd like to discuss your reward for returning Evan Lark, he says. The leader of San Alfonso holds out a bag to you. Peeking inside, you see that it's full of precious gems that should cover the 300 doubloons you felt was a worthy reward. Relieved of the weight of the bag, El Sabio rubs his hands together. I thank you for coming to collect it yourself. Why is that? You ask. El Sabio's smile reaches across his face, wrinkling the skin behind the eyes and betraying his age. I wanted to meet the daring captain who rescued him, of course, he says. But the way he says it, you're certain there's more to it. You have the feeling that he won't forget how you handled this encounter. I'll be watching you with great interest, he says. Something in how he says that sounds more dangerous than benign. I look forward to giving you something to watch. Thank you, sir. You're free to choose your entertainment. Yes, that sounds quite fun. That's a fun reply. El Sabio nods, his face wearing a cheerful expression that looks like it's hiding a number of insights he's unwilling to share. The effect is eerie, and you're glad when the conversation is over and you can return to your ship. It's been just over a year since you started your career as a captain. You've heard rumors that the Pirate King's fleet hasn't been as active this year as in the past. Does he have fewer ships than before? Is the Crown finally making progress against his ships? But for every rumor about the Pirate King's absence, you hear another about some daring exploit performed by one of the Pirate King's captains. No one will give the names of the captains or their ships, however, and Anne Reed is quick to tell everyone in San Alfonso that rumors of the Pirate King's heroics are only that, rumors. Yet another reason for sailors to throw in their lots with her so she can become the Pirate King. But those rumors have little effect on your business propositions. You have a fleet of 2 ships, and you can feel the extra income lining your coffers. It's not a lot, granted. Wow. It's not a lot, granted. With all the extra crew to support, but you're more than breaking even, and that means you're off to a good start. You've amassed 917 doubloons. Do you want to spend any of that? Ooh, what do I want to spend it on? Do I want to buy another ship, indulge in my own pleasure, give the crew a bonus, or save it? I think buying another ship would be good, right? I mean, giving the crew a bonus. Can I do both? 970. So I could pay 400 for another ship. And still give the crew a bonus. Nah. More ships. More ships. Few ships have come up at the auction block since you became captain, and you've kept a weather eye on them. A weather eye? Few affordable ones have come up for sale. One is a swift cutter called the Grillo, a blockade runner that can't carry much cargo but can speed right through the enemy. Another is a brig called Robin, who's a fine old lady, if a bit slower. Yeah, the Grillo. Buy both for 200. Both for 200? Both for 200? Ooh, ooh. Got a lot of money. Got a lot of money. Let's buy both. Let's buy both. Caesar hires one of your crew, a young islander named Lokilo, to handle her. Lokilo is fast on the ropes, and you have no doubt his reflexes will serve him well in the cutter. Besides, you tell Caesar, Captain Lokilo of the Grillo? That's a name already. That's already a name for legends. Somehow you don't think your first mate is amused by the rhyme as you are. That was terrible. Marilee Ortiz, who has the reddest hair you've ever seen, was the first mate on the Robin for her last voyage. You interview her with Caesar, and the two of you agree she'll make an admirable captain. It's not long before the crew you hire, and several members of your own crew, give her the nickname Pajaro Rojo, the Red Bird. You just hope with a moniker like that she doesn't become more famous than you. Your crew follows orders well enough, though occasional brawls break out. Still, they speak of you well enough in port, and you've had no trouble finding replacements for those who took their contracts elsewhere. Tanima, despite her initial fears about beginning her career as a pirate, has become more confident with each mark you've taken. Her skill is unparalleled, but compliments on her power and control from you or anyone else continue to make her uncomfortable. You wonder just what it is that she did to earn her reputation in Alfonso. But so long as she's putting that power to your benefit, you suppose it doesn't really matter. Tease her into telling me. She can tell me or not on her own. No pressure. I'm an easygoing captain. It's not that you don't care, you're curious, but you don't ask. It's her story to tell, or not, as she chooses. Instead, when the two of you are on deck together, you talk about other things. She grew up on the islands, of course, and the village where she was a child sounds, the way she tells it, like a hidden paradise. It's small enough the crown has yet to bother with it, she says cheerfully. I only hope it stays that way. Even if it does, everything changes sometime. It's a melancholy thought, and Tanima says as much. You smile wryly. It's true, though, nothing stays the same for long. Even the seas, for all that they stretch on forever, are changeable as the winds. Change isn't always bad, she says. Her fingers dance and the winds echo the movement. You think about what you've accomplished in the past year. No, you agree. Sometimes change is good. She grins, and it looks like she's thinking along the same lines. After all, there's a lot out there to see. I wouldn't want to miss it. I'll drink to that, you say. And after Caesar takes the helm and Tanima makes her way to the galley, you do both. You do both? I did them both. Caesar has come into his own as a first mate. He's remarkably even-handed, with both praise and discipline, and you rely on him to handle most matters with the crew, including bringing new sailors and releasing dead weight from their contracts. He's got an eye for numbers that you'd never appreciated aboard Blackguard's ship, You start to wonder how he learned that skill. Ah. Not interested in Caesar? Yeah, it's trying to find out more about his past. Why not? As it turns out, Caesar managed books before becoming a pirate. My mother and I worked for the owner of a cane field, he tells you. I was expected to labor in the fields. Even as a child, I had the size for it, but my mother insisted I learn to read and work with numbers. I found out that our foreman was skimming off the top of our harvests, and I reported him. He pauses. How did that go over, you ask? About as well as you might expect, he says with a grimace. That was the first time I was whipped. I was 10. You don't have to go on, you say. I'd like you to know, he answers. My mother was ready to leave with me. I didn't own much, but we could have started over somewhere. Then her employer came to apologize. He went over the numbers, and I was right. Of that I've no doubt. The story gets easier from there. The field owner, recognizing Caesar's talent honestly, trained him for paperwork rather than field labor. Caesar's mother died of illness a few years later, but he was making better money keeping the books than he had in the fields and could take care of himself. It was all going well until the crown burned the cane fields on the excuse that his employer was harboring pirates. They conscripted any of the workers they found into the crown navy. Caesar escaped and signed on with the first non-crown ship in the harbor. It happened to be a smuggler, as eager to avoid the crown as Caesar was. And that's how I ended up at sea, he says with a shrug. It's all in the past. You put your hand on his shoulder, knowing very well that the past can have a heavy burden unless it's been shared. How touching. Your debt to San Alfonso is continuing to grow, despite the payments you've been required to make while you're in port. Why? Would you like to make a payment? Yes, get rid of it. I'm getting rid of all these damn payments. I'm not having a legion of pirates come after me because I owe them money. You're in the clear, and that pesky documentation about your finances is filed away, hopefully never to be seen again. Is that the same one that I paid off earlier? On the personal level, your reputation is frankly not great. This is not to say it's a bad reputation. It's non-existent, which in the grand scheme of things is worse. When your name is mentioned, people say you're honorable, willing to sacrifice your own goals to show others consideration, and you're more interested in causes than cash. But that you share what wealth you do have fairly among your crew. Of course, that's all based on rumor and hearsay, right? In your private life, you focused on your ship and building your own strengths and skills, though as a captain you're separate from your crew. You enjoy their company well enough. You also enjoy the sense of solitude during late night watches, and you feel you've grown as a captain and a sailor from the hours spent devoting yourself to the life at sea that others squander on romance. What have you focused on improving since you began your career? I've worked with Caesar to improve my combat skills. I worked with Tanima to train me in Cambiar, developed plots and ploys to deceive my enemies, focused on negotiation, striven to become a better sailor. Sorry. Tried to be a better captain and improve my crew's morale. Well, plots and ploys to deceive enemies. I tend to... Now, they're all good choices. I'm less concerned about negotiation and being a sailor. I think managing a crew is pivotal. If I don't have a crew that's got my back, then I have no ship, and I'm not a captain. So I think improving to be a captain and improving the crew's morale is the most important thing here. Because, I mean, it's it's a trickle down effect. We're going to improve the crew's morale. If they think I'm a good captain and I can be a good captain, then the rest will follow. There we go. Here we go. You can't sail your fleet by yourself. After all, you can't save. You can't. Words. You can't sail a fleet by yourself, after all, and a mutiny would be terribly inconvenient for your budding career. You make sure your crew is well fed and has plenty of grog. You offer bonuses for work well done and make sure the ship's contract shows appropriate compensation for injuries. Appropriate compensation for injuries. It takes some time for that. Sort of effort to hit your reputation, but your crew's far happier, and you consider that a job well done. Yes, that's the goddamn goal of being a manager. But despite your successes, no, there remains one thorn in your side. Captain Blackguard. Oh, cool. I like him. He said that you would rue the day you betrayed him, and though it hasn't come to that, he has certainly made himself a nuisance. Though he's not well liked, his decrying you as a mutineer, and a failed one at that, has led some captains to not take you seriously and not trust your business dealings. Still, no need to focus on that plague-ridden villain. On one stormy evening toward the end of the hurricane season, after you become a captain, as you're heading back to San Alfonso for repairs and resupply, a voice from the crow's nests calls out, and she spotted a ship in stress. Given the season, everyone worries about hurricanes, and the time of year, and for good reason. You suspect weather is to blame, but the sailor shimmies down from her perch, descending the rigging on like a skink on a tree, and heads over to give you and Caesar more details. There's 3 ships, Captain. No, that's terrible. What can I do? There's 3 ships, Captain. She explains. One's an aggressor, and there's 3 ships, Captain. She explains. One's an aggressor, but there's something about it that's off. Wind's not in its sails right away. We'd have to get closer to be sure. It's close into a merchant ship. The merchant's sister, a smaller ship, is fleeing. She grins wickedly. Either merchant looks as though it would be a good target. Caesar thanks the sailor while you put on your spyglass. Pull out your spyglass. Although it's distant, you see what she described. A merchant fleeing in your direction. And a second, larger merchant trying to outrun an odd-looking man-o'-war. It would take a few hours of sailing to catch up to the merchant being pursued, although it would give you far more information on the strange man-o'-war. Alternatively, there's a fat prize sailing almost straight for you. Well, okay, how much of a pirate can I be here? I target the easy prize. She'll know something about the other ship as well. I target the larger merchant, even with a strange man-o'-war. I aid the sister ship. Aid the larger merchant. That strange man-o'-war looks like a bully to me. Intercept the man-o'-war. Right, okay, so what do you think, chat? What shall we do? This seems to be a fairly pivotal thing to do. I think because my inclination here is because I have either no reputation or a poor reputation, that I should go and challenge some sort of kick-ass man-o'-war ship to a fight and win. I have 4 ships, and they've got 1. What do you think, chat? Thanks for no input, chat. Thanks. We're going with this one. I'm just kidding. You can sit back and relax. That's fine. You're not worried about making a profit. You're ready to offer aid to a ship in need, and that merchant's need is clear. With some good sailing, you think you can intercept her course in time to keep the man-o'-war from taking her. Set course for the merchant, you order Caesar. Well, we'll offer what aid and protection we can. Aye, Captain, Caesar says stoically, and then relays your orders to the crew. You set a course for the merchant and the man-o'-war, and it looks as though all 3 of you will converge at the same location. With Tanima's help, the winds are speeding you along, but not quickly enough to entirely keep the man-o'-war from reaching the merchant, and from your position, you'll have to encounter the man-o'-war first. As you near, the appearance of the man-o'-war becomes progressively stranger. Its sails are ragged, hanging in tatters, and they don't seem to catch any wind, but that hasn't slowed it down one bit. Each hasn't slowed you down one bit. The hull is smeared with pitch, or painted black, or you hesitate to say it, but there's an unearthly quality to the depth of the blackness clinging to the hull. Almost as though you're staring into a deep chasm, rather than looking at something solid. The crew of the man-o'-war look normally enough at first glance, wildly waving cutlasses and pistols in the air, and cheering as they get closer to overtaking the merchant. But as you study them, they look gaunt, almost skeletal, and their eyes glow orange. Tanima swears on her breath. It's a ghost ship, she tells you. There's no such thing. Continue pursuit. Well then, this requires some additional planning. A ghost ship? Hell's Locker? No. Additional planning. Additional planning. We're going to take this ghost ship, folks. The ghost ship can be fought and defeated. Probably. You can at least disrupt it enough to give the merchant ship some space to get away. Whether or not you can escape at that point, however, might be more complicated. There are other ways to deal with ghosts, though. Chain shot might rip skeletons apart as easily as living flesh. Excuse me. But cambiar might give you better options. Or you could try to hail the ship and see if the crew might calm down enough for parley. Oh, forget it. No prizes worth fighting a ghost ship. I'll trust my chain shot and broadside to battle. The best way to fight supernatural is with the supernatural. Let's go for that. Let's go for that one. Can we do it? You call Tanima to your side. We've got to send them away. We could try a banishment, she says. I've read about them, but never tried one. You nod. Let's get started. Oh yeah! Oh yeah! The process for banishment is more complicated than any cambiar you've ever seen firsthand. Much of it has the sort of old world style that the crown prefers. Tanima's first move is to draw a chalk circle around the mast of the Twilight Maiden and step inside to work. You stand next to Tamina. Your chanting falls into pattern with hers. You've had a year to work together, and you've learned how to echo and strengthen her patterns. Tanima reaches for your hand. As your fingers touch, a burst of energy fills you. Almost immediately it drains away, hurling itself towards the ghost ship. There's nothing like the explosion. There's nothing like the explosion you expect from the strength of energy. There's nothing like the explosion you expect from the strength. The man-o'-war doesn't reel or shriek or shudder from aft to stern. Instead, it simply begins to fade. The man-o'-war's crew turn to look at you once, their orange eyes blazing. They raise their swords in unison as they make a shout of defiance. The ghost ship vanishes, leaving you and your crew entirely intact. Tanima sighs. It didn't work, she says. They felt what we were doing and they chose to go. Next time, you say. In the meantime, it looks like the sister ship escaped, but that larger merchant vessel is still nearby. We need to recoup our damages. There's no damages. Overtake her under booty. Offer her an escort to San Alfonso. Let's do the escort. We might get a reward. You get within hailing distance, and Captain Rivera, a burly woman with no, another woman. I can't do female voices. God damn. And Captain Rivera, or can I do male voices? Who knows? A burly woman with arms the size of spars hails you before you can offer assistance or request a surrender. You've saved us all, she calls over. We owe you our lives, Captain. Did you take damage? Do you need aid? That's not what a burly woman would sound like. You've saved us. What's a burly? My God. A burly woman. You've saved us all. I can't do this. I can't do this. Will we default to the English? We owe you our lives, Captain. Did you take damage? Do you need aid? Well, we'll go back to that one. Captain Rivera is happy to sail in your wake. When you reach port, she asks for your terms. Cool. Payment in goods, a transfer of ownership of the vessel and its contents. Ooh. For the captain a chance to join the fleet? Nah. Take the vessel, the goods, the captain, and the crew. They work for me now. Wow, take everyone. Tell them to go free. Payment in goods. Let's just do that one. That's not very piratey though, is it? Why do I keep playing this like a good guy? Why do I keep playing like a good guy? Let's just go with payments. Without batting an eye, Rivera offers her crew to transfer all their cargo to you. She even gives you a private stock of brandy. It is some of the easiest booty you've ever collected. It's more than enough to buy a round for your crew, so you put off repairs for an evening at the Lobo Negro. The clouds burst open, just as you and your crew reach the Lobo Negro. Thunder roars overhead, and your muscles ache in sympathy for what comes next. Thunder usually means furling the sails, tying down the cannons, battening the hatches. You and your crew are far from the only sailors seeking shelter at the taberna. The Lobo Negro is always busy, but tonight it's close to standing room only. The entire place is abuzz with talk of the ghost ship mutiny, which has been terrorizing the waters around San Alfonso, looking, some say, for revenge against the Pirate King. So why would they want revenge against the Pirate King? Timina asks. What should we do? Yeah, it sounds reasonable that a Pirate King would have cool enemies. The all-powerful Pirate King has to have scarier than average enemies. Whether or not the ghost ship has anything to do with the Pirate King, sailors will talk. With the infamy the Pirate King has reached, what would make a better story than a terrifying ghost ship? As Tanima and Caesar ponder the issue, a figure winds its way through the Lobo Negro toward you. It takes you a moment to recognize him. Gone is the posh stranger unfamiliar with the ways of San Alfonso. In the place of the Jacquin de Avilés you once knew as a stronger, wirier man who has done something to earn a wicked scar from his chin to his ear. Even though your first thought is to imagine how much a cut like that bled onto the ship's deck, the second thought, close at the first heels, is that it actually enhances his attractiveness. Shh. Why can't I read? The eyes, however, are still the same, calculating, observant, guarded. Meet him halfway. I'm glad to see him. Yeah, glad to see him. Sure. You cut through the throng and extend your hand, mostly so he can see you greeting him without a weapon. He's seen enough of your world to know how to look for danger among friends. Can't remember what voice he had. I have been waiting for you, he says by way of introduction. Likewise, you answer cautiously, even though it's been a year since you last spoke. I have a proposition for you. Funny, I was thinking the same thing, you say with a grin. Not that kind of proposition, he chides, although you see a hint in his expression that it's not due to lack of interest. Wow, I'm the sexiest pirate that ever was. Someplace quieter, though, with fewer ears. He gestures to Caesar and Tanima. Present company accepted, of course. Do you know El Jardín de Alejandro? Everyone knows the gardens behind the library, mostly for the reputation for peace and rarely for the more clandestine meetings. Just the idea of meeting there for business feels odd, but they're open enough you'll be able to tell whether or not you're walking into a trap. It won't be pleasant in weather like this. There is a small gazebo that would offer cover from the rain. You nod. Next bell, you say. Joaquin? Someone please tell me how to pronounce that name. Joaquin gives you a final grin before sauntering away. Sorry. The rain has let up somewhat by the next bell, but not much. You and Caesar and Tanima make a mad dash across San Alfonso, trying to avoid a drenching. When you reach El Jardin, you see Joaquin waiting under the gazebo, a lantern providing a little illumination. "Thank you for coming, Captain de Bedlam," he says formally. "Let's hear about this business transaction, Diables," you reply. He begins, "Before I came to San Alfonso to meet my fortune, I had friends among the Crown Navy. Though that begs for explanation, you get the feeling none would be forthcoming, so you nod for him to go on. Despite my current occupation, I've maintained some contacts among old friends." "You're a spy?" Caesar demands. "I've maintained contacts," Joaquin repeats. "Like the people of San Alfonso, the Crown Navy is quite concerned about the ghost ship disturbing the trade routes of the merchants and colonies they protect." Joaquin, thank you, Lexi. Thank you. I'm gonna raise a tip of the coffee to you. Thank you. So anything I mispronounce, feel free to correct me. Joaquin, like Joaquin Phoenix. Okay. Tanima makes a disparaging sound in her throat. Like most islanders, she has little use for the Crown's concept of colonies. Joaquin ignores both of your companions. Anyone who were to rid the Lucayan of this menace would be well thought of by the higher-ups in the Crown Navy, he continues. Like everything involving Joaquin, you have a sense that there's more to the story. So what do we pick? Why not offer such an opportunity to your captain? Kind thoughts don't translate to wealth. Is there a reward? What's the Crown really after? I've heard enough of this. What's the Crown really after? Yeah. I'm curious about this top one. Hi Lexi, how are you, by the way? Joaquin shrugs. He's a decent captain, but I don't think she has the skill necessary. She's a decent captain, but I don't think she has the skill necessary to take on the ghost ship. He grins, but it's that practiced smile again, meant to put enemies or marks off guard. And honestly, I'd rather not have to fight ghostly sailors. Do you have other questions? I'm doing very, very well. I'm thoroughly enjoying doing this. I think this is going to be the first of many of these. Kind thoughts don't translate to wealth. Is there a reward? Yes, there needs to be a reward for this. In the long term, he asks. Pardon, legitimacy, a coveted letter of marque. The short term might offer additional opportunities. What's the Crown really after? Joaquin spreads his hands in a gesture of placation. I can only tell you what I have heard from my contacts, he says. Oh, this accent's all over the place. I'm really sorry to anyone this offends. I've got a very limited range on the kind of voices that I can do. But somehow you expected the but. The Crown is very interested in, he pauses, considering the next word, removing the Pirate King. Tanima and Caesar both absolutely silent. If a known pirate were to eliminate the threat of the ghost ship to prove his worth, that pirate would soon find himself being channeled funding from very obscure investors in order to form a fleet that could challenge even the infamous ruler of pirates. Well, they went Russian as well. He's from a fictional place. He has a fictional accent. It's a mixture of all sorts of European and Eastern European accents, okay? That's what I've decided, folks. That's what his accent is. It's the correct accent for the fictional place he is from. Alright, okay. He shrugs and leans back. Or so it has been suggested to me. I've heard enough, I've made my decision. This sounds super cool. I like it. Joaquin nods. I am very interested in what you have to say. And Khajiit. Let's not forget Khajiit. I accept the challenge from the crown. I'll prove myself worthy of their patronage. I accept the challenge from the crown. I'll prove myself worthy of their patronage. I'll take on the ghost chip, but not for the crown. I have to think it over. I'm not fool enough to take on the ghost chip. Fuck yes, we're taking on the ghost chip. And I'm going to take the funding from the crown and their pardon, and then I'm going to kick the Pirate King's ass. Oh, I got an achievement. Crown spy. Become a spy for the Pirate King. Ooh. You haven't ever turned in a bounty to the crown, but this opportunity to work for them is too huge to pass up. Also, it'll get me a really cool reputation. You have to be careful. After you actually defeat the Pirate King, your usefulness might be through. But if you keep your eyes open, there's no reason this can't be a guarantee to a legitimate life, free from the death and danger of piracy. Sounds good. My contacts... Oh, hold on. This guy's a sneaky liar, though, isn't he? Ah, shit. Oh, well. Cool. It's an adventure. It's an adventure. My contacts will be delighted to hear that, Joaquin says. I wish you the best of luck in facing down the ghost ship. He stands, lifting his lantern in a way that makes his hood cast a shadow in his face. You're needed. Thanks, Joaquin, you asshole. I'd rather something more athletic than luck. A kiss to go without luck, then. Oh my god. Oh my god. Thank you. I hope it's a beginning of a beneficial friendship. Guess what we're going with, folks? Politics before pleasure, I'm afraid, Joaquin says. But you think this is his way of rebuffing you politely? My captain is certain to notice I'm gone soon, and she's been keeping a close eye on me lately. I wonder why, Caesar mutters under his breath. I'll be in touch, Joaquin promises, then steps out into the rain, dousing his lantern and disappearing into the night. Damn it. Still got Caesar, though. Maybe I shouldn't have done that in front of Caesar. Oh, damn. Oh, damn. Your dreams are filled with images of ships smeared with a pitch that spreads across their hulls, of sailors with eyes like coals, of tattered sails fluttering in an unfelt wind. It's a restless sleep, and when you wake in the morning, all you want is a quiet breakfast, full of all the delicacies you can't get out at sea. Tanima and Caesar both have other plans for you, however. I want to talk to you about the ghost ship, Tanima says, catching you as you make your way down the stairs to the Lobo Negro. Caesar at least buys you breakfast. You're not even awake to fully understand what it is. But you think there's chorizo in it. Can't pronounce that either. Chorizo? You think there's chorizo in it before he accosts you. About the ghost ship, Caesar starts. Food first, then talking. I'm interested in Tanima's take. As a caveat, I want to hear Caesar's opinion on fighting the ship. Yeah, I mean, if we need magic to banish them, then yes. Then yes. We need Tanima's input. Tanima first, you tell Caesar. Any discussion of the ghost ship is going to have to take magic into account, and she's the expert. The Gambiante takes a deep breath and then begins. The ghost ships are created through a curse of some kind or another. They stole an object that was cursed, and they have to put it back. This doesn't sound like Pirates of the Caribbean whatsoever. A cursed object was given to them by a cambiante, or a how do you pronounce that, Chad? How do you pronounce it? Or a cambiante, or spirit that has to be destroyed. In any case, the ghosts are trapped. They are not aggressors, but the victims. Oh, of course! Of course they're the victims. Of course. They seem fairly aggressive to me. You remind her. I know, she says. But I'm saying it's not by their choice. They want to be set free. And I think that's reason enough to go after the ship. We should end the curse. We'll have a limited amount of time before we're either in too much danger ourselves or the ship disappears. How does it do that? You ask. She spreads her hands wide, showing she doesn't have a good explanation. Once I have a chance to do a thorough study of ghost ships, I'll let you know, she says. Do you think anyone's gotten a better... Gotten's not a word, by the way, folks. Do you think anyone has gotten a better look at it than we have and lived to write their encounter down? You ask. Tanima just smiles, looking like a cat that's been promised a bowl of cream. We won't know until we start doing the research. You think you see Caesar shudder at that, but he's composed by the time you actually catch his eye. Caesar unfolds a paper in his hand and spreads it out in front of you. It's a bounty, he explains. Alsabio is offering 1,000 doubloon reward to anyone that can stop the ghost ship before it attacks San Alfonso. He and others feel the port is in danger, and not because of the damage to trade. 1,000 doubloons is easily the value of three ship captures. Yeah, it's a lot. Has anyone said why the Pirate King isn't stepping in to handle this? You ask. Caesar smiles. Everyone believes that the Pirate King is actually the one offering the bounty. He's just doing it through Alsabio to keep up appearances. Which doesn't explain why the infamous pirate isn't taking matters into his own hands, but you suppose there are more important issues. How do you think the ghost ship can be defeated? You ask Caesar. It has to be destroyed, Caesar says firmly. The best I can think of it is to fire on it from as far away as we can and nuke it from orbit, to avoid getting hit with whatever hellish weapon it uses. I'd like to avoid the crew engaging those dread sailors if we can. Caesar, it's a ship that can disappear, you protest. I don't think we can get in enough damage before it vanishes. Caesar crosses his massive arms in front of his chest. The right kind of ammunition can damage anything, he says, then, surprisingly, looks to Tanima for support. It can be anti-size. He's not wrong, she admits. If we were to do enough damage all at once, it would vanish for a longer time, if it weren't destroyed completely. But I don't think that should be our first choice. You look back and forth between Tanima and Caesar, both of whom think you can defeat the ghost ship. I promised to do this for the crown, and I intend to succeed. Bounty from El Savio seals the deal. Let's hunt for ghosts. Someone needs to stop this menace. It might as well be us. If the Pirate King can't take care of his own problems, someone worthy should claim the title. Bounty, somebody says. What should we pick? What should I pick? I'm not doing it for the crown. I do feel like I'm doing it for the bounty. Not because it's a menace. Pirate King can't. Yeah. Let's go for the Pirate King's title. Let's go for the Pirate. And fighting off the ghost ship is just one step towards gaining the fame needed to eventually claim it for yourself. What tactic do you think will work best? Tanima's right, we'll have to figure out the object behind the curse. Caesar's right, we'll do best bombarding the ship from afar, or we need to outsail the mutiny. Outsail it? No, I think we're going for magic for this one. If there's a curse, we need to lift the curse. It's a curse. If you need to break the curse to destroy the ship, you'd better figure out just what cursed the ship in the first place. All right, Tanima, you say. Let's see if we can't find some information about the history of the mutiny in the Biblioteca de Alejandro. Caesar sighs, but accompanies you to the library. The three of you pore over books. Pour? Is that I think that's the wrong type of pour. I think it's P-O-U-R. The three of you pore over books, and surprisingly, it's Caesar who finds the story. About 100 years ago, the mutiny was a ship in the fleet of the Pirate King, presumably a predecessor to the current title holder. Although given the Dread Pirate's reputation, who knows? The captain was skimming profits from the pirate captain's fleet, so the Pirate King transferred to the mutiny's hold. So the Pirate King transferred to the mutiny's hold a cursed amphora. They claimed contained a valuable oil for a specific customer. The mutiny was to make a delivery instead. Instead, the mutiny's captain decided to find another buyer. He broke the wax seal on the amphora and released the curse on his crew. That explains the bit about them seeking revenge on the Pirate King, Tanima offers. And that's also what we'll have to destroy. It's probably still in their hold. Why can't they destroy it themselves? But of course, getting to the hold of the ghost ship will be a simple task. You spend a few weeks in San Alfonso conversing with your business partners and making sure that Twilight Maiden is in the best possible condition to go after the mutiny. You also make a point of meeting with your fleet captains and collecting your take from their marks, as well as making sure they'll be in waters nearby your attempt on the mutiny, should things go badly. You've no desire to lose the Twilight Maiden, but if she's sunk, you'll want to have an escape plan in place. The first day you'd chosen to head out, the weather is dreadful, and you're leery of setting out after the ghost ship in a storm that could well be the forerunner of a hurricane. As it turns out, your worries blow over with the storm. The day you get the Twilight Maiden back out into the open water, the sky is bright, the clouds are wispy, and the wind is fresh. It's a perfect day for sailing. At least in the morning. By mid-afternoon, those clouds have darkened eerily, thickening like the Lobo Negro's day-old chowder. You look at say chowder. You look at Tanima. She nods in acknowledgement. It's not a natural weather change. The mood on the Twilight Maiden grows tense as you all wait for what feels inevitable. You didn't need to find the mutiny. She's already found you. "Ghost ship off the starboard bow!" calls the sailor in your crow's nest. You swing your spyglass around and there she is, the mutiny. Her sails hang in tatters, her hull is black against the darkening waves, and although you can't see her sailors, you can feel their anger directed at you across the waters. Close into bombardment range and stay back. Do we close the boarding range, use the cambiar and the winds to outmaneuver the mutiny? Well, let's outmaneuver it. Tanima begins a chant, and the winds rise round you, filling your sails and setting your course so that as you approach, you'll show the man-o'-war your bow, the smallest surface for their ammunition to hit. The waiting between when you set course and when you finally come into range is excruciating, but then, as they fire their first salvo at your bow, Tanima raises a wave, swallowing their ammunition, while simultaneously changing the direction of the wind. You've discussed this maneuver before, but you've never pulled it off. And today is no different. Oh shit. You try to give the commands for the tack needed to put your ship alongside the mutiny, bow to bow, but you get much closer than you mean before you can harvest the wind. The advantage you gained in your approach is lost, and though you fire your broadside at her, she's had much more time to reload than you think. Damn. The gunship's return salvo comes much more quickly than any of you had anticipated. Some of the dark pitch that serves as their ammunition falls short, crashing into the water, but enough hits your hull to pull you listing toward the ghost ship. And then it spreads. Your crew try to keep the gun ports clear, ready to fire, before the ghost ship can do any worse damage. Tanima shouts over the now howling wind, "I can feel where the cursed item is! We have to get to the hold!" Now that Tanima has pointed it out, you can feel it as well. It's like an oil coat atop the water, or wood that's rotting from the inside out. It's definitely in the hold in the center of the ship. As your crew prepares to fire, what ammunition do you use? Chain shot to the rigging. Case shot into the crew to clear the way for boarding, or heated shot. Burn, baby, burn! Do we want to set the place on fire? That might not help me. Setting the ship on fire may not help me. What do you think, guys? I think the case shot to clear the crew away, because they seem pretty darn dangerous. Okay, I'm gonna go for this one. Burn, baby, burn. I mean, just the fact that they say burn, baby, burn there makes me want to pick this one. But we're not doing it. We're going for case shot into the crew to clear the way for boarding. You don't know if it'll impact the ghastly sailors aboard as much as it would the crew of true flesh and blood, but it's the best way to get your enemies out of the way for boarding action. You order the crew to fire, and a staccato burst of uneven fire sounds from your gun posts. The case shot does its job, tearing into the skeletal crew, but only about half of your volley hits. The rest thumps harmlessly against the hull of the ghost ship, which seems to swallow your ammunition into the pitch smeared over its wood. As you close, preparing to board, who do you take with you? Oh shit. Order the crew prepare, ask the crew for volunteers, and Tamina's skills at Cambiar will board together. Caesar's fighting skills, I'll board alone? What kind of crazy asshole would pick that one? Well, of course, I definitely need Tanima. I definitely need her. But I also want the goddamn crew to be there. Everyone! Everyone! We need everyone. What do you mean everyone? Everyone! You can't let the ghost ship get close enough for a full boarding action. The only way to keep them at bay and to get a cursed object is to swing aboard from a distance. Luckily, you've already set up the line, and with Tanima's cambiar, I fail on that word every time, you're certain you'll be able to make it across, and then, behind the pirates, with no trouble. The ghost ship cuts through the waves, closing on you more quickly than the winds should allow. You and Tanima wait in the rigging for just the right moment. Tanima shifts the winds, just as the mutiny looks like she'll go hull to hull. You and the Cambiente swing across as the Twilight Maiden jibes into a downwind heading, away from the ghost ship. The skeletal pirates shriek in wordless rage, most of them focused on the ship moving beyond their reach rather than you and Tanima landing on their deck. Those few who do notice Tanima washes prone by Those few who do notice you, Tanima washes prone by crashing a wave over the side of the ship. She's really good. You practically slide down You have no time to waste making your way to the hold. You practically slide down the companionway, through the mutiny's 3 gun decks, away from the ghastly crew into the darkness of the hold. Your eyes take only a moment to adjust, but as they do, you see mounds and mounds of treasure, bars of gold, coins from distant lands, textiles and spices, all in pristine condition. There among it is an amphora, set aside from the other things, and unlike its peers, not lashed into place. Instead, it sits on its own, immobile, regardless of the swaying ship. That's it, Tanima says. Destroy it and we'll destroy the whole ship. You can sense that this is the thing keeping the ship in the curse's clutches. You have to destroy it in order to truly defeat the ghost ship and end the curse. What do you do? Oh, I don't know. Get a closer look. Shoot it with your pistol? Do we need a closer look? Will shooting it with a pistol work? Let's get a closer look. Closer look. This might waste time. It's a curious object and deceptively simple. There's no patterning on the ceramic, nothing to distinguish it from 1,000 other wine jars in a ship's hold. And yet, there's an attraction to it, such that you almost can't stop your arm from reaching out to lift the seal, to smell the perfume contained inside. You stop short of touching the thing, take a few steps back. You've never felt magic quite like that. You have a moment of sympathy for the poor fool in this ghost vessel, couldn't help but lift up the seal. Shoot it, shatter the amphora with the hilt of my cutlass. Have Tenima destroy it. Yes, because that's why she's there. Right? Tenima wastes no time in getting to the amphora. Tenima whips magic around her like fire, something you've never seen any cambiante do aboard a ship, given the danger of fire. But for now, you don't care. She releases a full blast, as strong as a cannon, into the amphora. The moaning of the mutiny turns into a full-blown shriek, and the deck beneath your feet shudders, rotting away as you stand on it. Grab for some treasure. Make my way back up the companionway. Use Cambiar to help with the whole rot, and then have water carry me upwards. Grab some treasure? Grab some treasure, guys. Grab some treasure. I'm a pirate. You grab for a handful of expensive-looking items in a treasure chest that is beginning to rust away at the hinges, as its years in the ghost ship's hold hit all at once. Make my way back up the companionway. Or do I use magic? Let's just go back up the companionway. Where are there going to be enemies? Let's just go back up the companionway. You head above, the rungs of a companionway rotting beneath your feet as you hurry to the main deck. There, the remains of the ghost pirates are turning to rotting flesh and bone, decomposing in front of you. And yet, their skeletal grins seem somehow comforting, as though you really have freedom to finally go to their rest. As the mutiny's dinghies, using the mutiny's dinghies would be an exercise in futility, but if you and Tenima hurry overboard, you might be able to swim close enough to the Twilight Maiden to be rescued. You're a competent swimmer, a rarity among sailors, and you're confident you can make it. Though you're exhausted from the battle and your encounters with terror, the swim is almost refreshing. Almost. It's still hard work, and the tug of the mutiny as she sinks makes it more difficult. But as the rest of the mutiny disintegrates, her last limbs plunging into the water and rotting away, you reach your ship, and you let your crew haul you and Tenima aboard. Eventually, there is a cheering and celebration. Congratulations from your crew. It washes over you, and you're almost too tired to enjoy it. Almost. The Twilight Maiden limps back to San Alfonso in need of repair, but better off than the ill-fated mutiny. Awesome. We just kicked a ghost ship's ass, folks. You know you didn't travel quickly back to San Alfonso, but you're surprised with how soon the news hits the port. How does news get there before I get there? As it turns out, one of Anne Reid's ships followed your progress and sped back to Alfonso to be the first ship with the news. There's an official ceremony in which El Sabio gives you not only your bounty, but also a medal. Yeah! He also forgives your debt to San Alfonso for services rendered to the city, which doesn't appear to make Karolina De La Playa very happy. But she's in the crowd, and you're the one wearing the medal. Around you, the crowd seems to be waiting for something, or someone, to show up, but they leave disappointed. You hear her later at the Lobo Negro that there were rumors that the Pirate King himself would be in attendance, but if he was there, he was well hidden or disguised. No one picked him out of the crowd. You leave a message detailing the mission for Joaquin de Avilés at the gazebo where you last met. You don't actually expect to hear back immediately. To your surprise, when you next go to the Lobo Negro, Joaquin is still in Alfonso, nursing a drink at the bar. I have every intention of seducing him. Why, the first option. It's the first option right there. I'd like to talk business. I offer to buy him a drink. I spend time engaging him in conversation. I spend time to wheedle out his secrets. I ignore him. Let's search for secrets. I mean, the seducing him is that's tempting. It's tempting. But secrets. You seek out Joaquin in the Lobo Negro several evenings while he's in town. He's cagey about his conversation, but you start to gain his trust by showing your genuine interest in him and his well-being. One evening, you persuade him to accompany you, walking along one of the more secluded beaches outside the town's borders. Once you're beyond the feeling that ears are everywhere, something that's probably not untrue given your current popularity. You guide your conversation to matters of his feelings about the crown. Not even here is it safe to discuss that sort of thing, he says. And he sounds a little paranoid, but considering you're quite sure he's a crown spy, a little paranoia is probably healthy. You make note of that for the future. The sun dawns on another day, and you find you're becoming better known in the pirate community. Yes! You may not be one of the most famous pirates on the sea yet. I destroyed a ghost ship! I destroyed a ghost ship, guys! That the Pirate King couldn't take out. I'm the best. Anyway. But you're reaching the point where people know your name. What have they started to call you? Honorable Spencer? That sounds terrible. Spencer Benevolo? Spencer Angelico? Spencer Maiga? For your skill at camera? Sly Spencer for your crafty reputation. Deadshot the Bedlam Bard for your deadly accurate pistols. They don't call me any of these things. Can I choose what they call me? What do they call you? Yes! Oh, what do they call me? Okay, chat, I need your help here. What do they call me? What do they call me? What about... The pirate what killed the ghost ship. The pirate what killed the ghost ship. Thereby proving he is better than the Pirate King Spencer de Bedlam. That's my name. That's my name. With a name like that, you're well on your way to fame and infamy. And with your growing fame, it's high time you started flying your own flag, don't you think? Standard skull and crossbones, a chalice with wands crossed beneath, a red flag with no insignia, a dancing skeleton woman on a blue background. I don't like any of these flags. Oh my god. Okay, so I can pick my flag. This game is awesome. What flag do you fly? A rainbow. A rainbow flag with chocobo giving a peace sign. There we go. That's my flag. Doesn't that inspire fear into the hearts of people? Do you wear any signature clothing to make you easy to identify? Wear a bright blue tricorn hat and get a pair of red pants, a fine calico coat, or wear a gold eye patch. Don't like any of these. What do I wear? What do I wear? Okay, so assless rubber chaps and an oversized mustache. These don't need capitals. These should not have capitals because it's not a title of something. Boom! As well known as you're becoming. Oh dear. What did I put? Why did I put this? As well known as you're becoming, it's high time you head onward to another adventure. Chapter 6, folks. Chapter 6. Chapter 6. Any port in a storm. This is quite long. How long have we been doing this? 3 hours. Oh! The adventure with the ghost ship has taken the Twilight Maiden out of commission for a few weeks. Maybe a month. At worst, 2. She's up in a dry dock as the shipwrights try to figure out just what pitch-like ammunition did to her hull. Just what that pitch-like ammunition did to her hull. While your crew seems glad to leave, you can feel yourself getting restless. You've considered going out on one of your other ships instead of waiting, but your fleet captains are an independent bunch. They're continuing to target the marks you've requested, and they're bringing in their share of bounty, so you don't want to discourage them from their duties. The last thing you want is your fleet's crew to be unhappy enough with you to mutiny and lose the extra cash flow. Really losing it now. Unfortunately, spending time around San Alfonso while you're waiting means that you have ample time to run into Karolina De La Playa, who is more eager than ever to have you finish repaying your loan to the city. You've mentioned to her offhandedly that it was El Sabio's idea to include the debt forgiveness in your reward, but she seems reluctant to take up any complaints with the leader of San Alfonso. Instead, she's decided to harangue you whenever she sees you. That's great. How often do you hear the word harangue? Not for a long time. You've started crossing the street or turning your head to the other way whenever you spot her. Which is not exactly the image of a confident pirate you want to project. You would like to make a payment, if only to keep Captain de Puerto from threatening to levy fines against you next time you dock. Yes, get rid of it. You're in the clear. And that pesky documentation that you find about your finances is filed away, hopefully never to be seen again. Why do I have to keep making payments to her? Being stuck in port also means that you're once again subjected to the irritating rumour-mongering of your former Captain Blackguard, who continues to try to undermine you in the eyes of your crew and the citizens of San Alfonso. Despite everything else you've been through, that wretch can continue to tarnish your Despite everything else you've been through, that wretch can continue to tarnish your reputation and hinder your quest towards fame. The lout. One day you'll have your revenge. Given your itch to accomplish something while you're landlocked, how are you spending your time? Spending it. Oh. So I can spend it with Tanima, with Caesar at the Biblioteca de Alejandro, making business negotiations at the bazaar, watching shipwrights work on the Maiden, seeking out Evan Lark. No. I have not been here yet. But should I spend time with my crew? Because it's part of my reputation that I don't spend time with the crew. I'm curious about the Biblioteca. When there's nothing to do, there's always the option of turning to a good book. The library has many of them. The collection has expanded since you were last stuck in port for any length of time. You spend your time with some adventure novels and a book about improvisational weaponry. The library also has a good place to hear local gossip. After the incident with the ghost ship, there's a growing discontent among the pirates who frequent San Alfonso about how the Pirate King is keeping the seas open for business of piracy. That his true identity is unknown is a bone of contention, and more people are wondering if it isn't time for a new Pirate King. Anne Reed is of course doing everything she can to fuel these assertions. Several locals have been checking out tales of ghost stories in the Lucayan, looking for clues about whether the Pirate King really has been around for hundreds of years. People whisper that he's no man at all, but a spirit, while others insist there's a line of heirs that have taken over the role through the generations. No one seems to have any real conclusions. During your third week in San Alfonso, with no end to your land-bound exile from the sea in sight, you're about ready to hire yourself out, not only from boredom. You're not making any money in port, and the less you have to dip into your savings, the better. Your goal is to amass fortune, not spend one. So when you see Anne Reed holding a court in the Lobo Negro and she beckons you over, you don't think twice about joining her throng. Of course, she takes her own sweet time addressing you after you've joined. There are ribald jokes, daring stories, and plenty of toasts to her future successes as the would-be Pirate King. Eventually, she dismisses her cronies and beckons you to follow her. Do I treat her as a great leader with respect? Fall into step as an equal? Give her a worshipful glance, hoping to stand out. Treating her with respect might go a long way with her. Step with her as an equal. Hey, let's go for it. She quirks an eyebrow at your presumption. She clearly views herself as more important than you. Of course, she views herself as more important than everyone. Oh, what was her voice? I don't recall. I've got a job for you. I think it's something you can handle. She's going to be posh, okay? She's going to be English and posh. At the end of the boredom port, potential payment? I can handle whatever it is, you say, and she gives you a wry grin and cracks her knuckles absent-mindedly as you walk in the dark warmth of San Alfonso night. You know, everyone knows I'm becoming... That wasn't her voice, though. Was that an American accent? You know, everyone... Jesus. You know, everyone knows I'm after becoming Pirate King, she says. But you can't challenge a ghost or a legend. What? We tried? What? I have challenged ghosts. I won against ghosts. Anyway, she snorts. If I could just declare myself Pirate King and have people follow me, don't you think I'd have to... Oh, who's that that's talking? It's her, obviously. She snorts. If I could just declare myself Pirate King and have people follow me, don't you think I'd have already done it? No, pirates want proof. The Pirate King's fleet is still out there, even if it hasn't been active near San Alfonso recently. The Crown wants him badly enough, he must be causing them trouble, whether we hear about it or not. You hear talk of him in Puerto Balena, you'd swear he's a demon out to sink every ship in the Crown Navy. Frankly, I think the talk of ghosts and spirits is all wind up the sail. He's no more immortal than you or I, but who is he? It must be Alsabio, isn't it obvious? I don't think it is that obvious, to be honest. No one really knows. I haven't really had any evidence to suggest anything. Exactly, she says. But I intend to change that. She stretches her arms in front of her, fingers interlaced. Her knuckles make a rippling series of pops. I'd like to offer you a job. I want to know who the Pirate King truly is, and I've heard rumors of an inlet down the coast from here where the Pirate King harbors his ships, outside of the scrutiny of San Alfonso. But the trouble is, no one has been able to actually locate the inlet and return alive. Oh, she's setting me up here, definitely. What's in it for me? Sounds awfully risky. Why hire me instead of sending one of your own crew? Let's go for that one. Whoever the Pirate King is, he knows very well what I intend, Anne says. If I send any of my crew investigating, he's sure to find a way to evade or eliminate them. You're a captain of your own ship, your own fleet, and as far as anyone knows, you're not making your own play for Pirate King. Oh, really? She waits for you to respond to that bit of information, either confirming or denying, and chuckles when you remain silent on the issue. She shrugs. Either the risk is worth it or not. My money is good. Uncovering the true identity of the Pirate King would be its own reward, and when I take his place, I'll remember the people who helped put me there. Take the job, I need something to do. I'll take the job, but I'll decide what to report after I've investigated. I want the job, but I'm more interested in a favour from Anna's payment. Ooh. I did need money, though. That's what it said. Let's go for this one. Decide what to report afterwards. You've no real loyalty to Anne Reed, and as for the Pirate King, I think it's best not to get on his bad side. It's a bounty I'd love to turn over to the Crown. I'll replace him myself one day. Let's go for that one, because I want to be a pirate. Anne moves slightly away from you, digging through a satchel for a map and a small leather-bound book. This is the research I've put together for the job, she says. The map is rough. It's based on sailing I've done trying to locate the inlet. It should put you in the right direction. Wherever the entry is, there's an illusion covering it from the sea, so you'll have to go and land. And the book, you say. Notes. Possible candidates for the identity of the Pirate King. Rumors. She hands you the map and the book, then takes out a pipe from a satchel and lights it. Mostly bilge water, but there might be a bit of truth in the most ridiculous thing. The book feels warm between your hands, and the job feels full of potential. I'll see what I can find out. Anne, smelling of tobacco and salt, puts her hand on your shoulder. I knew I could count on you. The morning dawns with the smell of salt and potential. It's clearly too early to gather gossip at the Lobo Negro, but you've got a map and notes and your own intuition. How do you start your quest? Read Anne's notes, scour the map. Go to Evan Lark, see what I can find out. Or head straight to the jungle and search for the inlet. I'll read Anne's notes, of course. Oh, look at this page of text. Oh, there's a little in the book that you haven't heard before. Rumour, conjecture, gossip, and superstition. If the Pirate King is a spirit, or an immortal, or a man who sold his soul to gain immortality, then the odds of your successfully uncovering his or her identity is slim anyway. You decide to proceed as though the Pirate King is a mortal. As long as you are working on this quest. Anne has helpfully listed some of the most likely candidates. It has to be someone powerful who is no longer working under their own name. Gabriella the Black disappeared from public life several years back, although she's been in port from time to time. A decade ago, she was held as the Crown's worst enemy, and since the Crown has never gloried in her capture, it's safe to assume she hasn't been caught. Flash Jericho, known for wearing an eyesore bright yellow coat and hat, was reportedly hanged 15 years ago. But 2 years later, a man wearing royal blue with yellow trim got drunk in a tavern in Portobellina and admitted that he was Flash Jericho and hadn't been killed at all. Kwamo Suete, the son of a... I do not know this word. Sasik? The son of a cacique. How does one pronounce this word? Let's have a look. I'm going to Google this. Kashyyyk.
Kashyyyk.
There we go. The more you know. Okay. Kwamo Serte, the son of a Kashik, one of the traditional leaders of the islanders, who led a rebellion against the crown before taking up life aboard the ship. Probably retired to live with his family outside the crown's reach in the islands. He'd be in his 60s now if he weren't still operating under the guise of the Pirate King. Innes of the Coast pled her belly to escape hanging 20 years back. Pled her belly? As a young and already notorious pirate, it wouldn't surprise anyone to find out she'd returned to the sea under a different name after having her child. And then there's El Sabio, a man who, even in Alfonso, hides his name. He spends enough time on his plantation that he could be covering up his activities at sea, and he's certainly wealthy. Everyone knows he was a successful pirate in his youth, retiring to govern San Alfonso. Could be a ruse to cover his continued work as Pirate King. But no matter who it is, you won't find out by sitting and going over notes. What do you do next? Alright, so there's the one guy I know and a bunch of people that I've never met before. I'm thinking about taking a quick break because I need to go to the bathroom. Thanks for the information, Spencer. Yeah, I'll be back in just a moment. I'll give you some music. Well, I'll give you some music to listen to. I wonder if this is going to pop up over the screen. It's actually not even loading. Oh no, it is. It's taking a long time to load. Whoop, whoop. Did you see that? Be right back, folks. Whoop, whoop. God damn, how am I so close? I don't need to be that close, do I? Or do I? Answer is no. So where were we? We were done with this one. So what are we going to do? Let's go see Evan Lark. What voice did Evan Lark have? Oh yeah, he had the super over the top voice, didn't he? You rescued Evan Lark from El Sabio. You rescued Evan Lark, and while El Sabio compensated you for saving his secretary, Lark may still feel he owes you something. El Sabio keeps offices in town, though he himself rarely uses them, preferring to stay on his plantation while people like Karolina De La Playa represent him to the public. You suspect, however, that Evan Lark might get more paperwork done and overhear more gossip at the office. Wow, that was terribly read. I do apologize. Lark, you found out in your weeks in port, manages a staff also paid by El Sabio, and that work as scriveners. I don't know what scrivener is. And that work as scriveners for the illiterate sailors who come through. God damn, I'm illiterate. It appears. For illiterate sailors who come through San Alfonso. The hanging sign above the office doors bears the image of a quill and ink. A bell chimes as you enter, and a few studious-looking workers look up from the desks at your appearance. One rises to greet you, wiping her ink-stained hands on her apron. I'm here to see Evan Lark, you say. Of course, she says politely. Do you have an appointment? You shake your head, and she tuts. I'll see if he's available. I believe he was meeting with the barristers this morning. She walks back to the office and through a closed door. One of the other scriveners shakes his head at you before looking down at his work. After a few moments, the scrivener returns. I'm afraid Mr. Lark is unavailable, she says. Can I put you on his calendar? You decline. No sense inviting trouble by putting your name in official paperwork here, and head back out to the office. And you feel like you spent enough time preparing. Time to head out. You set off along the coast, figuring that the best way to find the inlet is to tromp along the water's edge until you come upon it. But the going isn't so easy. Whoop. Lost my place there. While there are plenty of pristine sandy beaches on the island, there are also mangrove forests and rocky shores. Navigating the mangroves is practically impossible. If you half-wade through the treacherous roots, and at least once feel a fish or crab bite through your boots. Right, okay. I have to reread that in my head. It's a pleasant enough day that being soaked from the knees down isn't trivial, but after taking one particularly inconvenient misstep that leaves you wet to the chest, your journey becomes a bit squishier. And that's before you hit the rocks. Forget San Alfonso's stretch of white sand. You're faced with algae-covered boulders, determined to grow into a cliff. As the ground starts to rise, you're out of sorts, annoyed with Anne Reed and the Pirate King, and contemplating the possibility of the hidden inlet being a rumor created by sadistic pranksters. It's in this frame of mind that you first spot what looks like a creature in distress. At this distance, you think it might be a beached manatee, though it's slimmer. You squint, wondering if it's just a monk seal sunning itself, but it doesn't seem quite right either. If it is an injured animal, it could be dangerous to approach, but if you continue hiking along the rocks, it's directly in your path. Well, what if it's a mermaid? What if it's a mermaid, right? What if it's a mermaid? Could be dangerous to approach. Oh, come on, let's investigate. You make your way up the coast, approaching where you think you saw the wild animal. After a while, you lose sight of it, and you think perhaps, based on how rock formations complicate your route, you wouldn't cross its path after all. But from where you saw it, you can hear the sounds of guttural moaning. You realize it sounds like an an awful lot like a person trying to say the word help. As you walk, you hear the words for help in some other languages spoken by the Lucian. Shipwrecked sot, they're no problem of mine. Maybe it's someone who discovered the inlet. Someone's in trouble, I'd better help. Yeah, but I want something out of this. I want to help, but I want something out of it. Anyone who discovers the inlet isn't supposed to be able to live to tell about it. This voice, if it is a voice and not an illusion, sounds only half alive. If they manage to escape, even if they're now mortally wounded, they might have an idea of where you could go. Better them than me. I approach to see if I can get information. I try to help them. You try to find a safe way to get down onto the rocks where the person is stranded. Cries for help become clearer and more desperate as you approach, and you get a sense that whoever is down there is at the end of the line. If they don't get help soon, they'll fall into the waters below. You hurry, but not so much that you'll meet the same fate. You find reasonable footing and are finally able to put eyes on the person of help. That's when you discover that it isn't a person, per se, though it's no manatee or monk seal either. There are legends all over the world, spoken by sailors from every land, about people who live under the waters. Told you it was a mermaid. There's a legend told by the inlanders here of beautiful young woman named named Aikaia, who, in punishment for hypnotizing men with her beauty, was exiled from land and eventually turned into a mermaid. If the point of her punishment was to rob her of her beauty through the transformation, and the creature before you is the result, the curse certainly succeeded. The creature on the rocks, tangled so tightly in fishing nets that she can hardly move, has some similarities to the tails of mermaids. Her lower half resembles a dolphin's tail, and her upper half is thin, with two human-like arms and a round head ringed with seaweed-like hair. But though she has breasts, there would be no mistaking her for a human woman. Her face is entirely alien, grey-skinned, with eyes where humans' temples would be, no nose, and what looks like a blowhole at the back of her skull. The most human part of her is her mouth, and as one of the eyes catches sight of you, her cries become more frantic. Beautiful or not, mermaids are known for tricking and drowning humans. This is a trap. She's no human, but she needs help. I'll free her, but I want something in return. To her out of her misery. Well, I do want something in return, so let's do that. You make your way to the rocky outcroppings, where she's lodged, taking care to steer clear of where a tail could thrash you off balance. "I'm going to cut you free," you say. Making sure one of her eyes can see you, you draw your cutlass slowly. "But I need to guarantee that you won't harm me." A sigh squeaks out of her blowhole. "How could I harm you?" she asks helplessly. Yes, folks. "I am at your mercy." Still, I need a guarantee, an exchange, a contract. I understand your people are bound to respect that sort of thing. She stares at you for so long with a single eye that can see you. You wonder if she understood. "What is it you want from me?" Actually, my voice is actually going this kind of... I've been talking for hours. I'm not used to it. Just information and a guarantee of my safety. A single favor in the future. Sunken treasure. Your service as an informant. Just the information. Yeah, let's go for that one. "Agreed," she says instantly. And you wonder if you should have bargained harder. Nah, let's not push it though. Let's not push it if they're meant to be dangerous, right? Hold on, it said they're meant to be beautiful as well, but this one wasn't beautiful. She was like mostly dolphin. You kneel next to her, ready to start work on the net. She blinks and her body goes very still. The netting is tied to her skin, so you cut carefully, snapping one section after another, giving her more room to breathe. A tense stillness gives way to relaxation as you work. This is going to take a while. "So," you start. Swim around here often? Jesus Christ. She makes a whistling sound from her blowhole that might be a laugh. I may avoid it in the future, she says slowly. There are usually no fishermen here. Safe for a fish. Good hunting for my people. Tell me about your people, you say. She seems to relax more, making the net around her looser. While she's talking, she knows it too. She begins to describe a people so foreign that language fails, and she shifts into squeaks and whistles you mistook for an animal's. What you're able to gather is that there are many of them. They migrate to cooler waters during the hottest months of the year. They haven't been back in the Lucayan for all that long. They usually return after hurricane season has passed. These waters are traditionally safe for them, although she makes it clear in no uncertain terms that her people do not fear danger, and they have many warriors. Whether that's truth or a lie to protect her people's safety, you're not sure. You think that she might be puzzled, but her face is impossible to read. A clear eyelid blinks down over her eye. El Rey Del Mar, she says finally. He is no danger to our people. That does not precisely answer your question. What? What the hell is El Rey Del Mar? Who is he? Where is the inlet from here? What does he look like? We call him the Pirate King. Okay. My people say he made it. Sorry about me zoning out there. I was just rereading it over in my head because I lost concentration. My people say he made a bargain with the deep and traded his fins for legs. She answers, then makes a shallow shrug-like gesture. I'm not sure I believe this. He acts too much like a legged thing to have once had fins. I cut another few sections of net, thinking, I can show you where he docks, she says into the silence. There are no ships there now, but I can show you. No, I don't trust her to drown me. Oh, do I go for it? Do I go for it? Yeah, I'd rather go on land. Well, while travelling with a mermaid might be an adventure, you're not really dressed for a swim, and frankly, you don't know her well. She can accommodate a human swimmer. Just point me the right way would be fine, you say. Once she is free from the net, she points in the direction you'll be travelling, giving you a list of landmarks to keep your eyes out for. They're all things she can see from the water, so you have to stay close to the coast. She also warns you about a few of the traps she's seen others fall into, most of them natural hazards, other spies have carelessly stumbled into, and a few put in place by El Rey Del Mar. With her directions and warnings, you're confident you'll make it there safely. Once she's certain you've memorized her instructions, she turns and pushes off the outcropping where she was stuck, diving from the cliffs into the sea. A moment later, she surfaces, raising an arm in a wave and whistling from her blowhole. Farewell. Hey, job well done, guys. Job well done. The rest of the hike goes by in a blur of leaves and sweat and humidity. But your directions are good, and you don't encounter anything unexpected. There are a few traps in the jungle as you near the location of the inlet, just as the mermaid said there would be, but you avoid them without injury. You finally reach a spot in the jungle where you can see down below, though the cover is still enough to keep you hidden. There is an inlet complete with dock, a crib for ship repairs, and several moorings along the shore. The jungle around it is dense as any section you've travelled, but there are a few shacks nestled among the trees, and you imagine someone could hide there quite comfortably for some time. You stay still, watching. You see no sign of activity in the area beyond a few verret monkeys swinging in the trees. Where do you investigate? Ugh. Check the shacks. If there is any documentation, it's sure to be inside a building rather than on the open water or wedged onto the dock. You hike out of the jungle and onto shore, headed for the shack closest to the water. The 4 buildings are located near the dock, and there's very little to them. You enter the closest one, which looks like a full kitchen and a dining area, meant, you suppose, to give docked sailors a relief from the galley. There are few food supplies within, though there is plenty of storage room, considering the lack of evidence of mice or other pests in what little food remains. You would guess the supplies were removed within the last 2 weeks, possibly taken aboard a ship or used by docked sailors. 2 of the other shacks have cots. Their interiors are a good bit larger than a berth aboard ship, though not so large as the rooms in the Lobo Negro. Like the kitchen, they appear to have been recently cleaned out. In one, there's a sea chest at the end of one cot, but it's empty and has a broken hinge. You check for secret pockets with hidden notes, but decide that it really is just a broken chest, probably replaced by the sailor it belonged to and not yet disposed of. The last shack is an office, and although there's no wealth of paperwork, there is a sea chest, a desk, and a few documents left out under a paperweight. The top note is a letter. It reads, Evan. Below are the latest ledgers for our activities. I hope you will find everything in order. The numbers are not as good as I would like, but I'm always glad to pay my portion to Stan Alfonso's coffers. To San Alfonso's coffers. Let me know if what I've left is insufficient. It is, unsurprisingly, unsigned. The numbers on the papers below are impressive, though not as large as you might have guessed. The crew numbers are rather low, but there are only a few captains listed. Jericho, Coast, Suerte. Is one of them the Pirate King? Or are they employees? One of the ships, Hacienda, took considerable damage in a battle near Summers Island a few weeks ago, before you faced the ghost ship, and the repair costs cut into the profits. The last date is given 2 weeks ago. You look around for the payment mentioned in the letter and see a chest bearing the crest of the crown. Despite the inlet security measures and the known nature of the encampment, the chest is locked. Pick the lock, bash it open. Pick it. It's not a complicated lock. You've done this sort of thing before. A few twists and pop. The latch releases. Inside is a glittering stack of gold bars worth hundreds of doubloons. No wonder San Alfonso is so prosperous. And why the crown would very much like to collect taxes on the money that passes through the port. Take the whole fucking chest, dude. Excuse my language. I'm a pirate. Give me a chest full of gold, please. It's going to be difficult to maneuver back through the jungle, and there might be questions when you get back to San Alfonso. Then again, it's San Alfonso. It's possible no one will ask at all. Lega Travoy. Till I get back. Carry it, I'm strong enough. Yeah, let's rig a Travoy. Whatever that is. Steal from the Pirate King, you've got guts, Captain. Oh, nice. It's easy enough to pull together some loose boards and a line from over the shipwright's crib. Lash them together and set up a sled of sorts. It will still be difficult to get it to work. It will still be difficult work to get it back to San Alfonso, but substantially better than just muscling it around. You leave it where you can grab it easily on your way back to San Alfonso. Take another look around the inlet. Where do you investigate? Let's investigate the dock. Since no one is here, you don't see any reason to hide yourself. The dock might not have much information, but you might be able to tell how recently the line was used. You'll definitely get a better view of the encampment. The dock is well built, and in better care than the general docks in San Alfonso, which you suspect is because it gets less use. It looks as though it has been recently scrubbed as well. There are a few barnacles growing on the pilings, which means that someone tended to the wood and pulled them off in the last few weeks. The line doesn't have that creaky feeling it gets after being left to the weather for a long period. If you had to guess, you'd say that a ship was here in the last 2 weeks. From here it looks as if there are 8 moorings, some at a close enough length to the shore that you'd think they'd only be good for the shallower draft of a smaller ship. A cutter rather than a galleon, for example. It's not a huge fleet, but you suspect they're not all here at once, and as long as no one knew the ships were in the employ of the Pirate King, they could do their business at San Alfonso like everyone else. It makes you wonder if the Pirate King's reach is smaller than everyone says. If he really has such a small fleet, or if more people know the true identity of the Pirate King than they are letting on, or if the Pirate King hires out ships without letting them know their true employer. And that creates more questions than answers. Where do you investigate? The jungle. There is plenty of jungle around the encampment. I'm sure there are traps to keep people from getting too close. You might be able to find out something about the Pirate King's defenses just by wandering around. You're not disappointed. You find some booby traps, most designed to capture rather than kill, and you wonder if perhaps would-be spies who would never return to San Alfonso are conscripted into service. Just beyond the crib, tucked into the undergrowth, are row after row of cannons of various ages. Some even bear crown crests in the metal. While there have been fewer reports reaching San Alfonso of the trouble the Pirate King is making for the crown, you have solid evidence that he is still sinking their ships and taking the weaponry. Where do you investigate? I've seen enough. I don't think I have, but you've got more information about the inlet than supposedly anyone has before, and as long as you make it back to San Alfonso alive, your mission has been a success. Given the ease of your return journey, you begin to wonder if others have found the inlet and decided not to share. Now that decision falls to you. What will you do with the information you've discovered? Ooh, so do I keep it to myself, report some of my findings to Anne, report all of the findings to Anne, report what I discovered to Joaquin, report to both Anne and Joaquin, give Anne the full report and sell the information to Joaquin, or tell Caesar and Tanima so we can prepare for my own bid for the Pirate King? Yeah, let's do that one. You don't need Anne Reed or the crown bothering the Pirate King. That's going to be your job one of these days. So you tell Caesar and Tanima the full story. Tanima is far more interested in the mermaid than any details about the Pirate King. She's never read of an encounter like yours, and you're fairly certain that if such a book existed, she would know about it. Whether they are both fully behind your plans to eventually become Pirate King yourself, you can't say, but at least you'll be ready. At least you'll all be ready. Since no one has ever found the inlet and survived to tell the tale, it's no surprise to Anne Reed when you report back that you were unable to find anything. You spin her a good tale of your efforts being foiled every approach, adding a tale about mer people for additional detail. She's disappointed, and you doubt she'd hire you for something like this in the future, but she keeps her end of the deal. She rewards you with 100 doubloons, less than you expected, but more than she could have given you, since you brought her back nothing but your effort. As far as Anne Reed is concerned, that's the last of your involvement with discovering the identity of the Pirate King. Perhaps it is, but perhaps there's more yet to learn. You endure 2 more weeks of waiting after your investigation before your ship is ready to return to sea. Once you're back on water, you leave the politics and intrigue behind you. Okay, Chapter 7. I am going to end the stream here. Thank you all very much for watching. Reading for 3.5 hours is a little proving a little bit much for me. I'm losing a bit of steam, so we'll continue this another time. Once I've recouped a little bit. Thank you very much for watching, folks. Even if you're not commenting. I'm not sure when I'm going to continue this. I'm never sure when I'm going to stream. If you're interested, I think I will actually post this on YouTube, in case you're interested to see how the story pans out and you miss the next part, or vice versa. But thanks very much for watching, folks. I'll see you another time.